No, I don't.
Okay. All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are here this evening again to um, converse about the topic that is making headline in Jamaica. Before I go any further, I must point out that this is a non-partisan platform. We have no interest or intent to, in any way, shape, or form. This platform is to discuss and to find solution, possible solution for the problem at home, Jamaica. Tonight we'll have uh, sharing the space with us tonight is gonna be Mr. Ronnie Sutherland, managing what we'll call it managing partners at Strategic Solution, and a very familiar face, another familiar face, which is Dr. Paul Ivy, an associate professor at the University of Technology. And I'm going to be showing off their face right now, guys. So be prepared. Good evening, gentlemen. How you doing?
Good evening, Mr. Host. Good evening,
Good
Ronnie.
evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening, Prof.
Yes, it is. It seems there has been where some very interesting development in Jamaica over the last week. Most noticeable is the disturbance in Spanish Town following the police shooting of Lennox Walters, aka Termite. The breakout of school violence in Kingston, and of course the DPP court ruling, which seems to be effectively bring an end to the career of Miss Paula Llewellyn. Llewellyn. So those are the topics at hand tonight that we're gonna be talking about. But before we get into it, I'd like you guys to just like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you possibly get it up to 2K. But I'm gonna start with the Spanish Town incident, or what's going on in Spanish Town. The report are that there were disturbance following the police shooting of Mr. Walters, aka Termite. What is the disturbance about, and who were the main participants? I'm going to start with you, Sarah.
To be honest with you, I'm not too au fait, about the inner workings of the Spanish Town environment and precisely what was behind the shooting and the dynamics of the subsequent protests.
Right.
What I do know is that what you have said is true. That he was shot, I think was last week Friday, if my memory serves me right, and the Spanish Town was literally brought to a halt, because of the disturbances, and obviously people, are upset. But the question you ask is a very good one because, I know that there are some anti-police sentiment, around the shooting. But what I'm not clear about is the amount of decent law-abiding citizens who were
Mm-hmm.
participating in it. In a lot of cases, and I've seen it before, where you have strongmen being, you know, um, shot or arrested or whatever it is, and citizens almost feel compelled to come out and to show support, for the Don or for the area strongman. Some people come out under duress. That is what I'm not quite sure about as to what the dynamic behind, the protests. What I do know from the news is that he was is alleged to be a leader of one of the breakaway factions of the Klansman gang, and there seem to be several splinter gangs out there for that. So it is anybody's guess as to what really beyond the fact that he was shot. There's no doubt about it. But who are the people who are actively engaged in it? I'm always very, very keen to see whether or not people come out willingly, voluntarily to show support, rather than feeling that they're under duress, or under the threat of violence for them to come out. That is what I'm really not sure about with the Spanish Town.
Okay. But I'm wondering though, is it just hostility against police? I'm going to throw that at Dr. Ivy. What is your take on what's going on in Spanish Town right about now? Is it just hostility against police?
First, I want to say that my views that I'm expressing here are my own views as a citizen of Jamaica. They do not necessarily reflect those of my employers. These are my views. Okay. See, Spanish Town now, Spanish Town has been left to rot and fester. Mm-hmm. Spanish Town is almost one big ghetto. I mean, no disrespect to the residents of Spanish Town. I was recently in Spanish Town, and it is just awful. It is chaka-chaka, it is disorderly, it is unkempt, garbage is everywhere. It is a disgrace on the municipal corporation who has responsibility for the day-to-day management of the place. The police and others like the municipal corporation over the years have allowed gangs, these two major gangs out there, Klansman and One Order, I think they are called, to have taken such a root in Spanish Town. The bus stop transportation center is a hotbed of extortion and all of that type of thing. It's almost as if criminality has a vice grip on Spanish Town on account of these two gangs. And the interesting dimension to these gangs is that they're said that they are aligned to either of the two main political parties. So there's one gang that is aligned to the PNP, another that is aligned to the JLP, and so forth. So that whole tentacles of criminality permeates Spanish Town. I am of the belief, but the reports are that, police encountered a group of men. Men opened fire, police returned the fire, and this Walters termite fellow was hit and others injured and so, but he was deceased. I have formed the view, especially in relation to other such similar communities with similar characteristics, is that the people who come out to protest are doing so under duress. I have formed that view because it has happened elsewhere. And other sentiments, I think I've heard an interview on the radio where persons were saying that that is in fact the reality out there. So I'm not sensing by my read of the tea leaves that this is really any anti-police sentiments that we are seeing with the protest. In 2010, we saw people come out in white as in relation to West Kingston and the strongman down there and so forth. So I believe that whereas you have this general low-keyed resentment of the police, which is a feature of the Jamaican society, but when you see these flare-ups coming on the heels of a strongman being killed, it's really something where they're acting under duress. The people are hostages, and many communities have been held hostage by these gangs.
By these gangs, okay. But left to rot. When I wanted to define that for the listeners, you said Spanish Town. You're of the opinion that Spanish Town is left to rot. Can you define that? I know what it means.
The drains are who? The local authorities, the municipal corporation is what I'm zeroing in on now, and law enforcement. The drains are clogged, unkempt, unclean. The verges are not clean. There is vending. There's vending everywhere and every which where. There is garbage strewn about the street sides. when you look at that roundabout, for example, coming off of where just the vicinity of Food for the Poor, and then you're going to make it to Old Harbor Road, or you're going to make it going towards not the North Coast and so forth, even that roundabout has not been cut for ages. It's overgrown, it is unkempt. There's just no social services. I wonder, in the name of all that is good, if these mayors and councillors have no shame. Really and truly. I've been there, it's not like I'm talking just out of textbook or whatever. I was in Spanish Town and I saw it. I remember recently coming from a conference, and my school bus was dropping off residents at different parts of Spanish Town where they lived. And every community that you went into was run down, dilapidated, unkempt, and just, as we say in Jamaica, chaka chaka. That's Spanish Town.
Wow.
I have a thesis here. Here at my university where one of our master students did a study of Spanish Town. And the description is essentially what I'm saying here.
Wow. I wish I have some statistics and the voter turnout in Spanish Town in the local government election. If they were left basically abandoned by these politicians, who did they vote, or who they have voted for? Is Spanish Town known as like a predominant labor right or PNP area, or it is how you feel that, sir? And just is it like divided, or?
Well, I'm not quite. I don't
I
remember.
really share the same sentiment as a man that is on the ground as Dr. Ivy.
What I know is that the parish of St. Catherine, the political parties share the parish. I know the JLP won Spanish Town in the municipal count. I know that they won it. And that was one of the contention that they had with, how Portmore were being treated and so on and so forth, because they wanted to do a double count in St. Catherine. So when you look at Spanish Town alone, the JLP would have won over there. But when you look at Portmore on its own, the PNP won in Portmore. But when you put it together, it's a different picture. But so in St. Catherine, I think in Spanish Town, I think what's her name? The Minister of Sports, Babsy Branch. Yeah, she's a dominant player in there, highly influential. I think she probably is the most influential, politician in the local. So, whether or not there are other PNP influence, the fact is that given the amount of seats that the JLP has, yes, the JLP is dominant in St. Catherine, and Spanish Town is one of the area of, strong influence of them. But the bottom line is, it is the capital of a parish. It's the capital of a parish, and ought not to, have the description, that Dr. Ivy is putting there. And, I can't help but agree with him. I don't go to Spanish Town much anymore for the very reason that he's saying it there. I had occasion just like a couple of years ago to visit a helper who was at the Spanish Town Hospital. And that is one of the best telltale of, the place. I went there and she was in the hospital from the Sunday. I got there the Wednesday morning and she was still sitting on a chair, not given a bed. And she went there. No, she was eventually on the floor. And she went there with a stroke, so in other words, not attended to, no bed. And when I look at the general condition of the hospital, with people sitting around waiting for days, not attended to, it in itself is an indication of the level of neglect, of the capital. So I don't know. I don't have much to add to what Dr. Ivy has said. I don't have the the kind of close regular attention to it, because I don't go there out of fear. I mean, the lawlessness in there, taxi stand where you could be there, and people who work with me explain you could be there 1 minute and everything is fine, and then the next thing is gunshot start to just so
I'm gonna have to talk to somebody that tried to seek out to see if I could get some information to find out why is it Spanish Town is abandoned. I mean, the capital is abandoned, because that makes no sense. I mean, it's just not looking good. Spanish Town is a very popular town in there in Jamaica. Remember, we have a prison there. Many people visit Spanish Town. So for it to be neglected, it makes no sense at all. It shouldn't be any town at all. But I'm just saying, it's just not looking good. We need to call out on somebody to do something.
But having regard to the history, the whole capital, Spanish Town used to be the old capital. And right. I'm saying, as it relates to Spanish Town proper in terms of the capital area, I think it's probably in central St. Catherine as it relates to the constituency. Is St. Catherine Central. Yeah. St. Catherine Central. It is a JLP stronghold held by Babsy Grange. Remember, it used to be held by Bruce Golding. And when Bruce Golding went to his NDM foray and whatever, Seaga put Babsy up against him and she won back the seat for the JLP, defeating Bruce Golding. So it's a JLP stronghold. But interestingly, the mayor, Norman Scott of Spanish Town, is on the PNP side. And he's actually a PNP vice president. And, so you have that political dynamics out there and so on. But law enforcement, I have to put a portion of the blame at law enforcement as well. How it is that the Spanish Town Transportation Center, the bus stop, it is like the capital of extortion in Jamaica. The capital of extortion. Taximen have been killed there. Busmen have been killed there. Everybody have to go under the order of the gangs in terms of the payment of extortion at that place. And the police station is just up the road from the hospital.
Yeah, but Klansman and one other is one of the two biggest gang in Jamaica, if my memory serves me right. So I mean, they probably will overpower the law enforcement, and as we earlier said, it's the capital that has been neglected.
Yeah, so but this is the state. The state always have more firepower than gunmen. The state always have more firepower, and it's a question of effective policing. They went in the other day after the uprising and they put some curfew, clamped it down and so forth. But the thing about it is that we do not have consistent occupation of this space. Occupy this space and purge it of the criminality, and then put in the social services and bring about pride and everything to do with the amenities and the services that citizens are paying for. How can you have Young Street just litter? Look, I've been there, litter. I just want to see with my own eyes. Littered with garbage. Pigs and other things just ruminating through the garbage piles.
But
I don't know how we put up with these kind of things in this country, The mayor is now getting $7 million per year, and councillors $5 million. And this is what we're going to get. The local government election has just come. The municipal corporations were in the limelight during the election. Now they've gone back to their mediocrity. Business as usual. All of those things combined is giving us what we are seeing there.
I think there's a dichotomy with the Spanish Town situation over years. I think, some confusion as to how to deal with Spanish Town. What should have happened to Spanish Town was that it should be one grand heritage site.
Yes.
So the development around the town has been pretty restricted. The streets are still very narrow, Yes. You have a lot of old buildings that they are, kind of reluctant to repair or to change, because they still see them as of historical value.
Right.
But there's nothing around it in terms of anything formal for preservation. Um, I remember the first time I went to Puerto Rico. There's a place there, I think it's called Old Puerto Rico or whatever it is called. Old San Juan. And it's a town just like Spanish Town. And they just shut it down. And it is busy. Shut it down, no vehicle can pass through it. Just pedestrians. And they move about and preserve all the buildings, all the streets, probably put in brick walkways, just that's what the Old Salmon is about. So you can get all kinds of tourism related things, from art and craft, and now in Spanish Town they have not made up their mind about it, and so it is sort of in limbo. It's either they decide that it is no longer considered a heritage site and just break down the thing, build up the place properly, nice new clean buildings, or they just decide that it is a heritage site and just start to treat it that way, and shut it down, because a lot of the problem has to do with a lot of the dilapidated setup that needs attention. Old buildings, old houses in the middle of a town.
I honestly think that Spanish Town should be one of the main attraction in the island, with the historical heritage that comes with it. I think that Spanish Town should have been one of the better places. Joining us right now is a man that went missing for a while, is Mr. Hodge. Good evening, Sir Speed.
Good evening. Good evening.
Hi,
Good
Mr.
evening,
Speed.
gentlemen. Hi.
We were just talking about Spanish Town being one of the neglected town in Jamaica, given the fact that it have so much historical component or values to it. I just think that he should treat it better. What is your take on it? That wasn't what we were talking about. We were originally talking about the shooting that went on with the termite. I shouldn't say the termite because I don't want to be disrespectful. Mr. Walters, a gang leader. But we are saying no. It's Dr. Ivy said it has been decaying for the longest while. What is your take on Spanish Town? I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Yeah, I think good evening again. I think Spanish Town is neglected to some extent, yes. It's a tricky town though, in terms of the development, all of what has gone on there. It's tricky to develop. I wouldn't say it is the easiest of spaces to develop based on maybe a lack of town planning and all of that. If you look at Spanish Town, it's kind of clustered to some extent. But I think it's a little bit neglected, of course, and should be given more attention by the powers that be, the authorities. But based on how it is structured, it seems to be quite easy for people, wrongdoers, to do things and get away. It's easy to have gangs formed and so on in there. So,
I think that though I'm gonna use my small influence and try to get a hold of Mr. Norman Scott to see if he could probably answer some of the questions as it relates to the neglected of Spanish Town. That is not good at all. But we were just wondering if it was a case where the citizens are showing support for the gang. What is the state of here now in Spanish Town as it relates to? We're going back to the shooting. Do you think? Yeah, go ahead.
Truth be told, is that it doesn't take a large number of citizens to come out in support of a Don for it to appear to the general public that, because remember, Spanish Town is very well populated. So if you have 20 people, 30 people coming out, and sometimes they are forced to come out too, whether physical force or in the mind they believe that they have to support or else, they feel threatened. So it doesn't take a number of people to really make it look like it appears to be that they are overwhelmingly supporting the gangs or the gangsters.
Wow. I made the point that these people are hostages, and I'm going to go a little bit further and to say that they are facing terrorism. The communities are actually facing terrorism because what you're talking about is threat of the demise of family members and also arson of their properties and all of those type of things. You remember when this young miss and I think her grandmother were killed in Lauriston, and they were beheaded. And that beheading was at the request of a gang leader to say, bring me the heads. Bring me the heads. We're talking about terrorism so that you drive fear in people. That's kind of like what's happening out there.
Yeah.
And over the long term, by virtue of, I'm not so sure what is it that has caused law enforcement not to be able to break the back of this crime situation in Spanish Town. And the political connection and coloring of the gangs is another variable at work as well. Could that be part of it why they don't have a free hand to act? Even though we saw that one done trial that Chief Justice Sykes presided over, and there was a lot of convictions, including Tesha Miller, Brian Blackman, and others, and so forth. So you wonder really what are the dynamics at play, and probably somebody who is on the ground has a greater insight from an on-the-ground perspective who might be able to shed further light on it. But it's a very textured and multi-layered situation. But on the face of it, what you see is actually lawlessness.
And somebody have to take it into take it up in hand. But you're saying I am trying to figure out why you point such a strong finger to law enforcement. Maybe their hands are tied. I don't know. What do you think about that, Mr. Sudan?
But sorry, just to make one small point. Remember, I share up the responsibility, the municipal corporation and law enforcement. So I'm not wanting to single out law enforcement. I'm talking about the different entities that have a role to play.
Right. Do you think law enforcement could make a
No, Owen made a point about the layout, the topology of the of the town itself. It makes for difficult law enforcement. When you have the city is right here, and then the shanty part of it is next door. It's like the whole town is congested, and that makes a haven for criminality. But again, law enforcement, we're having problems all over the country. We have the same kind of problem with law enforcement in Montego Bay. We have it in Savlamar. We have it in downtown Kingston. So Maypen. So we just have a problem with capacity. And the capacity of the law enforcement. A place like Spanish Town is going to overwhelm it. You just don't have enough beat foot. Every turn you turn in our city, you have to see a police. That is how they fix New York, and they don't have that in Spanish Town. They don't have it in Maypen. They don't have it, in not Hanover's Westmoreland, with Russia area and thing, and they just don't have it. So law enforcement is a common problem.
Yeah.
And I want to say this at this juncture. You see, this new commissioner, I have been toying with the idea since this week that, you see, if he doesn't get a grip and order in public spaces, he's going to feel just like the rest of them before him.
Wow. I saw something earlier this week. I sent it to Ronnie, to that he was paying some attention to the conduct of the you know, you want to restore law and order, also some form of community respect or something like that. I forgot it. You remember it, Saran? Where
Yeah, but let me tell you, and I think Dr. Ivy is correct. It's just that he believes that the commissioner can do something about it. But he's going to feel like the rest of them, because what is necessary, in strategic plan, we call about the critical success factor, which is the condition that must be in place for success.
Yes.
And one of those critical success factor, as it is, given the level of criminality and crime and so on, is the amount of officers that you have at your disposal to put to work. I am maintaining that nothing less than 2.5 to 300% more. I mean, in terms of police, we have 13,000 now. Nothing less than 30,000 police can bring the kind of shock treatment that is the country on.
Gentlemen,
you just don't have it.
Gentlemen, I've said it before. There are 19 police divisions across Jamaica, and not one is being effectively policed. I'm going to give you 2 examples. This new commissioner, when he took office, he should say to his officers, commanding officers across the 19 divisions, every bike will come out with a man who ride it without a helmet must be taken off the road forthwith. None of that now happen. Secondly, this business of motorists affixing multiple colored lights to the front of their vehicles. Every one of those vehicles that drive past a police should be pulled over and taken off the road. Those are kind of the little things I'm talking about. You don't need 30,000 police to do that, because the cars are driving past left, right, and center. The bikes are going past left, right, and center. The little things. Crime control is about psychology,
What you're not paying attention to is that, like any business, your household, wherever it is, people can't deal with all the problem they have, so they prioritize. That's what happened. I have seen numerous cases, I hear it all the time, where a man pull over a man, say, upon him phone, or pull over a man, say, my speed. And the first thing the man say, look on the amount of thief out there, bush, kill people that me I can deal with. Yes, I mean, it is an important point that what they're saying is, we have too many big problems to come and spend police time and fix up colored light pan car. I get what you're saying, I get what you're saying. And that is what they did in New York. They are the thing they call the broken windows approach, where they say that they're going to prosecute every level of crime. But before they did that, they put on 100,000 police on the ground. So they have the capacity to do it. They do not have the capacity now to deal with the amount of
so where their focuses are. What is their main focus? The police main focus, because you're saying they had to prioritize. What are their main priorities right now?
But they have time to pull me over for a body protruding. Ronnie, here's where I'm going with this. Because I almost kind of lost my train of thought. It probably will come back.
Yeah, but let me ask you, where the police emphasis are?
I'm saying your idea of prosecuting from the lowest level up is right. Nothing is wrong with that. However, they have a bigger dilemma. I remember as a little boy going to my friend's father, who was in charge of Montego Bay. At the time, he was senior superintendent, Wilbert Buchanan. And he was, when we went around to Area 1 police, he was briefing the police to go off. It was like the first night of the first sunsplash. And I looked, them probably have about 75 to 100 police giving instruction. I don't even know if it was so much. But I walked away from, I couldn't be more than about 14, 15 years old at the time. But what I walked away from that event, apart from being, see my neighbor, have one whole heap of policeman before him and looking impressive. What I walked away from was him saying to to all of those police on the parade there standing taking instruction. He said, tonight we're not going to lock up nobody for bad word. We're not going to lock up nobody for a spliff. We're not going to lock up nobody with just have a ratchet. But we're not going to it was a list of things. And why was he saying that? When we asked him, he said, the place is going to have 25,000 people in there. And if we have 50 police in it, them can't deal with all of them little things there. They are just supposed to be in there for anything that's major. They feel overwhelmed. And this is a situation in Jamaica. Jamaica, the police force is overwhelmed with the level of crime.
No, but hold on, Ronnie. Remember, let's stick with the traffic for the moment. Remember the big song and dance, the big occasion with the launch of P-Step and what P-Step was supposed to do, what was it called? Public Safety and Traffic Enforcement Branch. They got new bikes and fancy new set out and whatever and so on. And P-Step was supposed to bring back law and order to the streets. We're talking about the traffic division now. Just stay with the traffic division for the moment. Senior Superintendent Mackenzie is in charge of P-Step. And P-Step has not made a significant dent in the situation having to do with traffic. The traffic department, we're not talking about the force writ large. The traffic department. In fact, the point I wanted to make earlier is this. You know the traffic report that comes on RGR in the mornings with Paula and Derek and Norma and them, and they give the roving traffic report. And this and each day of the week, a particular policeman comes in from P-Step and he tells you all the different infractions that ought not to happen. And they reel it out in terms of the letter of the law and the particulars and everything. This morning he was there talking about the distance that you must be behind emergency vehicles and this and that and whatever and so forth. They know all of these things in theory, but they are ineffective on the ground. And I'm staying with the traffic division for the moment. They are ineffective. We can get more from the existing establishment in the JCF. That's my point.
What Dr. Ivy is saying is this: is that there are different divisions for all this. Brother, you're talking about crime and they're overwhelmed with crime, but traffic police not dealing with crime. They're dealing with
no. You have to what you don't pick up. You see, when you have resource that you put to use because you have several problems,
right?
Every so often, because you don't have enough resource, you have to keep pulling from specialized areas. It gets disrupted. That's what happened. And until you address just think about it. With the amount of police we have now, it's about the same as we had in the 1980s, when murders were like a third of what it is now.
Ronnie, I'm staying with traffic. Last week I was at the intersection of Oak Road and Lady Musgrave. A policeman was in the khaki uniform. I think that's probably an inspector. And he was on his phone. And traffic cars went into the spider crossing, I think they call it, that spider place. And the man was on his phone. And the vehicles were there on the spider crossing, blocking the traffic. It's them things that we're talking about.
No. It happens now. All I'm saying to you, you have a bigger problem called capacity. You don't have the amount of police to effect.
But the man was there.
Yeah, and I'm saying that is what will happen. Because that is not his focus. He's probably still there hoping to see a car that was described in a shooting on Red Hills Road. At that time, I think I talk about, right? You get a call that I think about. So when we hear a thing about somebody depending phone,
Ronnie, you know that for peak traffic times they put police at the intersections.
There's a general capacity argument I'm making.
I'm not making the capacity argument. I'm talking about the specific.
But you don't know. Because I'm telling you what underlies the lack of capacity. You don't know what is his focus. He may be out there and he look like a traffic cop, but he may be there looking out to see a undercard with a certain thing coming down, a film thing that because based on what I'm getting on the radar, that you might look up because they are shooting somewhere else and I look for something else. Because they don't have enough people to specialize. And so you have a capacity problem. You're not going to have the kind of dent that we're talking about with the same amount of police that we have here now.
So until the new commissioner, said, well, we have to double the police force, there will be no dent. Because
and until you hear him say that, him not saying anything.
What do you think about
there's
that?
Another element to it. I mean, there's another element to it that will bring some kind of, support for the physical number of police. That's technology, that over time you can employ some of that. Take, for example, the level of crime we have in our country. Sometimes I guess we get so accustomed to it that it doesn't matter, we don't think about it anymore. But just imagine you have a country like Jamaica, which is among the most murderous in the country, and you don't have one police helicopter. Not one police helicopter.
Yeah.
If you get the point I'm making. So
they're lacking resource.
It is a resource problem. And
they're lacking resource.
And the thing that worked in New York, the study is there. It's the Harvard Review thing in the 1993 or 94 when they hit the thing. They just look at how Giuliani was the that's the name, and the Commissioner Brown. I'll never forget that name. I'm saying they knew the importance of having a police by every corner. Every turn you turn into a police.
Yeah, except that two-way police on the corner at Lady Musgrave and Hope Road that do nothing.
We don't have enough of them. We don't.
Last week I was in this place Ocherius, and I had a conversation with a police, and I asked him what's the current status of the police force, what he thinks. He said they've been underpaid, but they get some money with, them can do better, but it's okay, they can live it. But what bothers him is the absence of resource. Him said, look at me, I'm in uniform. All he had is just a uniform and a gun. And him said, do you think when them send me for a domestic dispute, and the man draw one broomstick and decide, say, I'm going to clear him wife with it, and decide, say, I'm going to put some on the police. Him don't have a taser to defuse that situation. The only thing that he have to use, Sir, is his gun. And he's saying that a gun should not brought into a play like that. No, the only option he have is to shoot the man.
I think you have diffused the conversation to an extent where it is so general so that it lacks specificity. I'm saying traffic and the traffic management, and we have P-STEP. And is P-STEP as effective as it should be? And the answer is a resounding no. And these are things where a man is riding a motorcycle without a helmet, unmolested.
Well, you're saying that you keep.
Yes, I have to speak to these specific instances, because when we don't speak to these specific instances, we broaden the conversation. And
only 5% of the people who murder people get convicted. So when you're there insisting on traffic and P-STEP, I'm saying that there are bigger fish to fry that not getting fried.
Can you
imagine? Just imagine a police force, and all of a sudden the same amount of people are being murdered, but we are locking up people for speeding, and we have the little one, and nothing is happening to murderers.
But the point I'm making, Ronnie, is this, and this is what I want us to understand. When you have the environment where lawlessness of the little things prevail, you talk about New York, they enforce the little things. It is the lack of enforcement of the little things that give us the environment of permissiveness in which the big things occur.
But Dr. Ivy, let me say this, Dr. Ivy.
Yeah, let's move on.
Back to you said I broadened the spectrum, but when you think about it, the absence of resource is really a factor. Because look at the police that I spoke to last week. You haven't stand up at a corner dealing with traffic, and the only thing him have is a gun. I'm going to deal with a man with a license plate and leave. The man don't want to deal with that, you know? Because that might result, the man might tell him too bad or that something happened. The only thing him have to defend himself is to shoot the man. So they are demotivated by the absence of resource.
There's no doubt about it. And you're not gonna have sterling performance in a lesser important element. It's not gonna happen. You know, whoever it is, the focus of this commissioner, I'm gonna tell you, the focus of that commissioner now is right now, for example, murders are down. 2 days ago, I heard murders are down 14%. That is what I'm interested in. You wouldn't mind if I didn't finish, murders are down 20%. And they will give up anything for that to happen. So that is the kind of the emphasis. And they don't have enough people to achieve what they really want to do over the big one. So this little one we're talking about is just the emphasis. And it is normal for human beings to live like that.
Do you
I
know?
get the point you're making, that in a lawful society, you have to have what you call the low-hanging fruits, because you want to develop a culture of law-abiding citizens in there. So you know you can't do nothing and get away with it. I get that point, you know. I really do. The fact of the matter, though, for that to work effectively, it can't be that I just have to treat them there, or them just their legally. They have to be in every center.
I agree
don't have
with,
enough for them to be in every, so them just overwhelm and just drop them on. That's what
I am in agreement with Dr. Ivy. But what I'm saying, sir, and Sir Speed, and Dr. Ivy, the man that you saw right there at the Alfred Tree Corner, Lady Musgrave, wherever, you know, he's concerned about his safety because he don't even have on a bulletproof vest. He don't want to mess with nobody. You know? He don't want to mess with nobody because right there and then he is not even secure because he don't have on a bulletproof vest. The absence of resource demotivate the police. And if he call for help, if he got mess with a man with license plate and leave, and he call for help, and the man decides why he need help, how much police you think will come and when them will come? The absence of resource demotivate the police. And that is
no doubt about it. And one of them that I'm insisting on is human resource.
Truth be told is that Jamaica is an exceedingly indisciplined country. And I also believe that if you take care of the small things, the big things will fall in place. I always believe that. But another thing that we should not miss is the inefficiencies that exist in the judiciary system as well. Because you can prosecute all you want, but if they're not being brought to justice, if there is fold up on top of fold up, and then the people just walk free after committing serious crimes, then you're going to have a problem. If people feel that they can get away with all of this crime that they're committing, and they feel they have a 90% chance of getting away each time, then you're going to have it being multiplied. So we have a resource problem. It's a serious resource problem, but we also have the problem of indiscipline in the society that is mounting, and it spills over. When you see the school children fighting out there at the bus stop,
I'm gonna get to that too.
It's a reflection. It's like you look in a mirror and you're seeing what you're seeing is what is really there. It's a reflection of the society that you are seeing, and so I believe that we have to invest heavily in crime fighting strategies, as well as the deployment of what we have too. I don't think the police is being deployed properly either. You find a whole lot of them bundling at one place and then nobody at some other areas.
Looking into
at the same time. Yes, at the same time. at the same time, when other things are going on elsewhere, and quite frankly, I believe that the leadership matters, leadership matters in a big way too. So deployment of what you have, because it's an age-old problem that we have
Let
in
me take
terms
a
of
call.
sources.
Somebody calling me. Let me see what's going on. Carla, you live? Hello?
Good night. Good night to you guys.
Good night, sir.
Good night. I don't even know what time it is, but as I said, the gentleman was talking about crime and these things. Only one thing can solve crime in Jamaica is the people, because the police cannot do it by themselves.
The police.
Because when you look at it, no, the police cannot do it. Police themselves want at the crime too, because when you look at it, crime system people where you looking out for people, even the pastors are commit crime. Look in the Klansman gang, pastor gets sentenced in it to prison.
So your point is that the people, but the problem is how we get the people. You're talking about a cultural issue right there. I don't know. We have to figure out how to get it. But yeah, that makes some sense, and I'm gonna make note of that and probably add it to our discussion.
Because when you look at it, remember, everybody in Jamaica know Harley criminals. Everybody, 3/4 people them politician, pastor, teacher, good, bad, everybody knows criminal them are doing. Not until it happens to people, family. That's when some of them say, "Oh, we know this and know that." Them never know all along.
Right.
So we citizens covering up for these man. When them do wrong come in, human them wash their clothes, the parents wash their clothes, father chilling them, pitting everybody, and nobody never did. Have you ever seen them shoot a police or a soldier and then people go down Black Road say good police?
Yeah, you're right. Thank you for your call. We're gonna talk a little bit about because the truth is the system set up that the panel cannot relate to you. So we have a little challenge with that. We're having some technical issues with that.
They could relate it.
Yeah,
I thought they could relate, because what I said to you, there's no way at all, my brother. You ever hear a person citizens go out down Black Road. Watch and see if it's not when they kill one of the crows in. Everybody go out there blocking the road, say a good citizen, blah blah, because if they not do it, they can come in tonight. Because they kill it down.
Thank you very much for your call. I'm gonna give them an opportunity so you can go back and listen, and they will actually respond to it.
But having said that, the people come out because they are forced to come to protest. That kind of like defeats the argument to say that they are upholding criminality. They are forced, they're hostages. But the point that the caller needs to also appreciate is this, there's a saying that you cannot depend on the virtues of people. If you could rely on the virtues of men, there would be no need for laws. So a country can't run off goodness of people. The inner society and human nature is such that in the organization of society, you have deviant behavior, hence law enforcement as part of the rules of society. That's just how it is. Yes.
The caller is onto something though when he says, because it's a fact, that until the citizens become a part of the whole process of law enforcement, not police, but until citizens take up their rightful role in the process, we are really spinning wheels. And what do I mean? The citizens has to feel as if they can go to court and point out the person who did wrong. They have to be able to do that. As Dr. Ivy said earlier on, it's not just Spanish Town people are held in hostage. The entire Jamaican society are held hostage by criminals. You can't turn up. And the reason why they don't do it is because they do not believe that the state can protect them from criminals. They don't believe that. And that is where the psychology comes in. Every state, every country that you see where law and order abides and murder is low, the power of the state relative to the criminals is overwhelming. So you don't test the state. And the people who live in there feel as if they can go and point out a criminal because the state have the means of protecting them, because the state is the baddest of the bad men. That is not the case in Jamaica. I've heard bad men say to me in the past, they say they'd rather be running away from the police than to be running away from the Dan. Because they say them have nowhere to hide from the Dan. And they feel that them take them chance with the police. And if you look at the amount of people walk around killing people and get away with it, that is bearing evidence to what the guys are saying. And that is what there's not the kind of emphasis that the government ought to put into building a strong, mighty state. You know, because if the thing is mighty and powerful, you're not going to test it. Right. And that is what we have not done.
It's probably even less to do with might as it has to do with effectiveness. Well, as Mr. Speed was saying earlier.
That's what Mr. Speed was saying.
Yes, the effectiveness of institutions.
No. But the point is, what you're not picking up is that if you're at school, just remember when you're at school and the play field, and you see a man, one big strong man over there, and so on and so forth, and you know somebody you pick a fight with, you're not picking no fight with him. That is what it is, and that's an effect. In other words, the deterrence is just by looking on the state and see how powerful, overwhelming it is. I see a little boy one day, I'm in Florida, and the little foot just get caught up. I'm riding a little bike in the community, in the little, what you call it now, the complex that we're in. And somebody saw the little boy in distress with the bike and said, well, I don't know which home to call. She just called 119. And in the short space of time, within 5 minutes, fire truck, about 10 police car, and then somebody said, what
ambulance,
everything turned up. And then I asked my virgin, because the little boy incident that came from the apartment that we were in. And I asked my virgin.
Unmute, sir. What was unmute?
Come back to resources. So it's resources.
And when I asked, what was that about? Why was all of these holy pumps? And he said that is the psychology of the state. Every opportunity that the state gets, it put its might on show. And so it pushed back ordinary people. We don't have any might here.
We don't?
We don't have any might. The state is not mighty and powerful. And it must be go to Sweden, go to Japan, go to America, the slightest good thing, and you know.
Let me ask Dr. Ivy something, because I saw Dr. Ivy smiling. Dr. Ivy, do you honestly think that we have the resource in Jamaica to fight crime effectively? You're talking about the absence of car, the absence of car, which probably not even law and car, but the inspectors and the big guys driving the car. You're talking absence of vehicle. Let me tell you something that I know for a fact. They intercept some police somewhere in Manchester some time ago. I think it was last year, or intercept some bad man last year or the year before, something like that. And the honest truth is, they have information that that man, then when them find with what's going on with us, if they did post any shot after that, they have nothing in their M16 to fire back. Me know that.
But we're not. Nobody can say that we are up to mark with or up to speed with the amount of resources that we need to have. But we have been using. We have during the time when Adams was there, for instance. I know personally because I was teaching in a particular area of Kingston, and I know personally that many of those gangsters fled to United Kingdom and to some other places. Why? Because there was a surprise element that Adams could have put into play at any time, and he would get the men to go with him. He wouldn't tell them where he was going, that kind of thing. That's his men. And there was a surprise element at all times. The deployment makes a difference. And so I'm saying that we know that we have a shortage of resources over the years, but so we have to look at the other areas now. How can we deploy? How can we be more strategic in terms of
with the limited resource that we have?
With what we have, but at the same time, the Ministry of National Security in collusion with the Ministry of Finance, they must look at how they are going to invest in providing more resources, and technology is a way to go. We cannot have enough policemen and women everywhere in Jamaica based on the crime levels that we now experience, and we have been experiencing for a few years now. So we have to find another way. I for one believe that every school should have cameras. I believe that if you are going to renew, and I'm just putting this out there just off the top of my head, business places in critical areas, we know the spots that you know are high flying spots for criminal activities. We know them. Why is it that we can't, for instance, institute a policy where if you are going to renew your license to operate businesses, you have to have camera on your business pointing to the road and that kind of thing? We have to kind of practice some of these things that we see in the first world countries, even though we're not putting everything on the government to do.
Creative
thinking. What I remember about Adams,
we're missing that
during Adams' time.
Before you go, Ronnie, before you go, I remember when Jamaica was at a stage. I was in Portland, living in Portland at the time, and I remember when we were doing the rural electrification project. They would just come and install the wires and so on for you, and you pay them back little by little. Why can't we do a system like that, for instance, where they install the cameras on these business places in hotspot areas, and then the business people take time to pay them back over time? So that's the kind of thinking and the type of investment that I am talking about in terms of infusing technology.
No, I am saying there's no doubt about it. I mean, there have been a lot of investment in the Jamaica I think. So they get what you're saying. But let us go to the Adams thing, because it illustrates my point totally. So you had this one Adams unit. I think it was crime management unit, if you remember what it was called. In his time, where a lot of people were murdered, we were still killing over 1,200 people in the country. It never do make a dent to it. In America,
it was the worst in those times, Ronnie. No, if those gangsters never fled the scene and went to some other place, it would have been worse.
All I'm saying is Adam's time was no better than what we have now. No better.
No, man, that's not true.
Just go look at the amount of people murdered in the year. Just go and look at the amount of people murdered. But let me go on to this point though. In America, you don't need to call no one man name, because anywhere you're at, within minute the SWAT team is there. Adams had something like a SWAT team, you know.
Yeah, but all I'm saying, Ronnie.
No,
Ronnie,
listen what I'm saying.
If you had more teams like the Adams team, that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying Adams team alone.
So exactly what I'm saying. You just don't have enough people to deploy them in the way that it is effective. Because you have to be in Anova, you have to be in Westmoreland, you have to be in Clarendon, you have to be in...
But Sir Ron, let me just understand something a little bit with your position. Mr. Speed had suggested the Adams way of fighting crime. At that time, the resource was as limited as it is now.
But I'm saying it was no better.
Yes, man.
We were murdering the same amount of people.
No, it's not true.
Go and check it. You know how long we have not been regularly below 1,200 people?
It got so bad, Ronnie. It got so bad that Adams had to resort to some of the policing that he and his team resorted to, and that caused many of the gangsters to flee. And if they did not flee, hold on, you're talking about You're talking about 1,200 and whatever. If those guys were allowed to have their free way, it would have been 2,000.
Well, I don't know. All I'm saying, Adam has not been around for a long time, and it is not 2,000. So it can't be him must stop it from 2,000. But the point I'm making,
I hear your friend them at the Adam. I hear the man them at
Hold on, you heard the Carla have to say. Carla, I'll give you a minute. Yeah, go ahead, Carla. Hold on.
No, I hear gentleman say Adam's time, but if you take notice in Adam's time, none of those done in one order nor Klansman gang have ever been touched when Adams was there. All of the dance that them were flourished. Yes, he maybe kill 1 and 2 person, but look who.
There's only one man I know, and it's Spang.
Tell me one that he killed in
Adam's brother was Spang.
I had that. None.
Thank you for that, sir. Thank you, man.
The leader.
Okay. We're going to elaborate because they're hearing you, but they can't interact with you. So thank you for that. Thank you for that, sir.
Okay.
No, but he's making a very important point. You know, but the bottom line is, I am not saying that Adam's thing had no effect. I'm not saying that. All I'm simply saying, we just don't have enough teams like Adams to be effective. You know, Adams
needed help. Adams needed help with more teams, more leaders like him to manage the men that he had with him, or we had in the country.
So you're saying, Sir Speed,
he was effective. He was effective.
Wow.
Well, I don't know about him being effective. What I do know is that in his time, and we can go and check it, because we look at those numbers here from time to time about how the murder changed from the 80s into the 90s into the 2000s. Adams might put a dent on it, not even an iota.
He
But
did.
That there are people. I mean, it's a little boy like this. The 6 boy that killed the little boy. Them, you know.
No kill those who run away. I was working in an area where they were flourishing, and all of those men, when I asked for them, I hear that them migrate, them gone. Because Adam's team was out there.
Let me tell you something that is going on now. That Adams never achieved. And I am the first to I love Adams. So I don't want to come across as if we never have any, you know, but
they should have made him commissioner.
But let us look at what is going on now with no Adams. They are bringing down gangs. Adam never bring down a single gang.
I don't know about that. If you weaken the root of it, you weaken the gang itself. So I don't know about that. If gang members are running away, you weaken the gangs.
There's no gang member run away. The leaders.
Yes, man, I know them. I know them. You can't tell me. I know them. I was working at Rockfort. I work in Jonestown. I know some of the people, and I hear them talk. The people were scared. The gangsters were scared. They're not scared. No, the gangsters not scared. The gangsters. Hold on, Ronnie. The gangsters have no fear now. So they will attack. They will go anywhere, and in the bright open sunlight, they will attack anybody, anywhere, at a gas station, anywhere. In those times, the guys were afraid at night, and then go do them something. But now it's everywhere. You see them.
So Ron, one more I ask you. And I've not lived in Jamaica for a while now. What happened to the days of the Danman police, where you know every police station have a police where man fear? What happened?
Adams was one of them. Adams was one of the Danman police. All I'm simply saying, and the caller was correct. What we had in Adams' time is that all of the major gang leaders flourished.
That's not true.
That's
not true. Them run and hide. All of them gang leaders, what them talking about, run and hide until some of them get cornered. Natty Morgan and all those guys, all of them run and hide a bush when Adams round the place. What you talking about?
No, Natty Morgan was before Adams.
Yeah, true. Natty Morgan before Adams. But you had true. You're right. But plenty of them run and hide, man. And the gangs break up. People run.
I remember before the psychology of police has been demolished, and I'm gonna put it that way. I remember in my area, you'd have heard about police, the name brand police, and all he had to do back in those days, that I probably don't know about, is just to send a message to the man, to the
Yes.
message in the area,
Adams tell them stop.
to the bad man, and
Yeah.
he find him way to station because the fear of being killed.
There are a number of police like that. Number of police, even the most recent bigger Ford had that impact. As even a bigger Ford, I had several police through the ages had that impact. But the
Ronnie.
bottom line is these 1-1 police and 1-1 rat patroller.
You need a system. I agree with you.
It is just not.
I
enough.
agree with you. I agree with you. You need a system. But Ronnie,
And
you
it has to
don't
be-
think
it
that
has to be because what happened, oil, which is what you're saying, when you have a bad man in a Spanish town and he might wreak havoc in a Spanish town, all the time the whole of people them just run gun on over.
yeah, why? But that
Yes,
is what
but
is happening. But that is what is happening now, worse than
What
any other
was
time
happening
now.
from Adam's time.
No, but it's happening
what
worse.
contribute to that? There's something that you guys are not paying attention. The technology that we have, that's what they're utilizing and networking right now, and that's why they're able to move to Hanover and move all over the place. It's
Because a cell phone. Yes, because a cell phone.
With the police, probably don't even have. So it gone right back to the
resource.
The resource.
But the crime levels. The crime levels.
I know Adams on Hanover. You need Adams
Listen.
everywhere.
The crime. Yeah, but the crime, Ronnie, the crime levels no. Even though it's reduced by 14% over the last year, the murders and so on, it's still worse than any other time in our history.
No, crime has been bad for a long time.
No, right now it's the worst.
The murder rate has been bad for a long time.
Guys, we are the number one in the world. It's the worst now.
It is not since Adams. I can tell you that it's not since Adams.
It's the worst now, man. No, it's the worst, boss. And I know it's modern time. We need to look at technology.
I think in the modern time, right now, we should have done better in
Of course.
fighting, to be honest. But like
Adams never
like Sir Ron said, until we have a commissioner, we're coming in and said we're going to need all of what we have, quadruple. We not done nothing, and I agree with it.
There's nowhere to run to.
Today, probably in a adult time with limited technology, Adam could have get away, and the name brand police could have get away with all the way him did that back in ideas with limited technology. You understand? But no, and that is one of the problems that I noticed with Jamaica, that the card always go before the ass, because they let in all these technology, everybody have access to it away from who needs
the
it.
police.
The police are none, the tax
The
officer
nurse-
are none, the nurse are none, but
the
everybody a computer. Everybody a computer. I remember walking into a police station. I come here now. I came here to America, and I was advocating for that. I go to a system and start try to get some computer fees send them to the police. But I realized that it couldn't work because they wouldn't accept it that way. I never know nothing. We just come and I tried it. Because I'm walking at the big old superintendent office. I'm a brethren, I call his name. And all the man have anything, I some book, I want a pencil and all of that. One big old test, and that one computer. And every yard you go, everybody have their computer. And I use it to what them I do. And those are the things that they start to use to fight, to create crime. And police couldn't combat it because they don't have nothing.
Mr. Host, Dennis and Dr. Ivy, I am in agreement with Dr. Ivy with the point that if you take care of the small things, if you look at the smaller crimes, you start there, you move it up, you're not neglecting, you're not neglecting anything, but at the same time, we have to kind of bring the thing onto a level where we cauterize that kind of thing in the society. And we need to look at the young as well. Because the youngsters in school, are committing heinous crimes too. So we
Well,
have to take it in there as well. Because so
I
there has to be the whole thing of looking at what we can do to prevent
all
crime
right.
from escalating.
You know what you need to go and look at?
What I tell you?
You know what you need to go and look at?
Yes.
Look at the amount of tickets they issue year
So,
on
so,
year.
so we come to the judicial system. We come to the judicial
Just
system.
look at the amount of tickets they issue.
Sir,
Maybe Ronnie. So
I-
Ronnie. So maybe we need to have a system where they have to renew their licensing over a shorter period, and then all tickets have to be paid before you can renew your license.
I am not. Let me say this.
I said that to say that they are also. It is not that they're not doing anything on the small crime. I agree that they're not doing enough on the small crime, but we know they don't have enough resources to do it.
What I am saying, what I am saying, I agree with you, Mr. Speed, and I agree with Dr. Ivy. But I am saying the circumstance matters. Given all that was bomb rush and us, technology, and it put we in a different place where we are compared then and now, which is a total different time. The resources we need the resource now more than ever. We don't.
But I'm saying that too. But I am saying that too. I'm saying that. I just said that.
I agree with Dr. Paul Ivy. But what I am saying, Dr. Ivy, there is a circumstance, there's a situation that we are overlooking. Yes, we need to start from the bottom, but we don't have what it takes to start from the bottom. The policeman that you talk about in the traffic out there, he's more looking out for himself, and you have to go back to him and tell him, the policeman saying, don't look for me. The only thing I have is a gun. Him say, I don't have a button. Him say, I don't have a pepper spray. Him say, I don't have something for protect myself. And don't have nothing. Hold on a second. Carla, you live.
Yes, Prime Minister Dennis. The most person were murdered in Jamaica 2005, which is 1674, 2004, 1471, 2007, 1574, 2008, 1601, 2009, 1680, 2010, 1428, and 2016 was 1,300, 2023 was 1,225. So the most person were murdered in from them time in 2000. The highest one is 2005.
Mm-hmm.
No, 2009, which is 1680.
Okay.
And Adams was on him peak.
No, Adams needed more time.
I believe from murder rate from 1972 right up to that.
Adams needed more time.
I got it too, sir. I got it.
Adams,
Yes, so that's why I was because he was saying the murder rate was less, so that's why I go and look for it to that him see that the murder rate was more back then.
Of course. So Adams had no dent on the murder rate.
As Mr. Speed can see that.
Okay, sir.
Thank you,
sir. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
The man is shooting at me. The man is shooting at me, Dennis. But I'm saying that Adams needed more time. And if Adams,
no, I know that Adams needed more.
You needed more. You needed more Adams.
More Adams.
You need more Adamses.
Yes. Yes.
We need to add time. We need right now where we at. We need to Adamize. That's
with technology, it would have made a dent. He didn't have it. And he had less resources too than now.
I am saying, and I don't want Dr. Ivy to think that I am not in agreement with him. I'm in total agreement with him. But I am saying the circumstance and situation where we are today have to take into consideration. the policeman where you see out there, and you talking about him on him phone. I tell probably all the wife might talk to him and say, wife, stay with me in a car. I don't know what can happen in the next minute. I'm not
By
gonna
the way,
talk about
when Adams left the scene, which year? So you can call out some numbers. You see what I don't want? You can call out some numbers and some years and tell me it's Adam's time. And we don't know when he left the scene.
No.
So the gentleman who came on should have said Adams was there between 2000 to 2009. But you come and you say, these were the figures during that time. And I don't know if those were the times when Adams were really there.
Adams left about 2008, 2000.
You can't say about, you have to give me a specific thing. If you can't give me the specific thing, you don't have a point. Gentleman who called.
When he said 2005, 2006, those are Adams' time.
Yeah, it might be right. It might be right.
Yeah, but it went up. But Adams was there, and after that it went down. So you can't say the impact of what he was doing was not there. You can't say that. It could have been worse. It could have been 2000.
The point.
It could have been 2000 because there were other factors that were leading to these things.
No.
You see, back then, hold on, let me finish, because those data are not going to tell you. Data can fool you, you know. That data is not going to tell you the amount of control that politicians had over criminal gangs at that time, you know. It can't tell you that. It can't tell you how much that nowadays the crime thing is getting even more out of the hands of politicians. It can't tell you some of those details.
The only thing that he's telling you is that your assertion that in Adams' time the murder rate was less. He's saying that that was not true. Him not getting in behind any other thing. Him don't have that level of data to make those kind of declaration about police government involvement. But he's saying, which is a fact, that in Adams' time the murder rate was no better than it is now.
When was Adams' time?
Adams, I'm not 100% sure.
But he didn't say that either.
Adams would have been in there during the 2000, all the way up almost to the end of 2008, maybe.
I'm trying to get to Mr. Adams. I spoke to him sometime ago, and I'm trying to find out. We're having a debate. And
you need to bring Mr. Adams on this show one of the times. Because if you bring him, then he can put some light, shed some light on whatever.
How long you serve, man? Dennis Sutherland, I spoke to you before. We're just having a debate, and we're trying to figure out how long did you serve in the JCF, reigning in the JCF. How long now you retire? Dennis Sutherland, we spoke a couple of times, man. I was just trying to find out what year you retired, because it was just easier to reach. What year did you retire? What year did you retire from the police force? Okay, him not hear me right. They took me a break up. May I try to find out, but I think I should have Googled it. Renita Adams, I think it was in that time. Him want come on the show, but the political image, we just never want to associate myself with that something.
All right, bring him on. Respect to the caller too, respect to the caller.
Yeah, but let me move on, because I want to we want to wrap up. But the video that float around with the school kids, it was very disturbing, and I'm pretty sure it was disturbing for you guys to watch as well. I mean, the school kids fighting over they started with a woman. I think it was over some woman of some girl of some side. Some girl where 10 years I know them not going to even remember the girl's name. The question is, how did we get there? Our children are so violent. The truth is, if you look at the fight, even the one who come out last night, one of the girls tried to fight one girl in our police car. They intend to kill each other. How did we get there? The person to answer this question, who would have very much familiar with the school system, would have been Sir Speed.
No, all of us can answer that question. And I said it before, it's a reflection. What you see happening in the school system is a reflection of what is happening in the wider society. Many of the behaviors we see coming out in the schools, those are learned behaviors that they see in the communities. And many of our kids too are exposed to a lot of things in social media. Let's see people attacking people and the way they carry on, and all of these things they have access to them. So it's not new, it's not strange, because they are living out what they see happening around them in many instances.
Mm-hmm.
So when they leave school, they go back to their communities, and what is there in the community to engender any kind of soft skills and to learn how to deal with conflicts and that kind of thing. They don't have any conflict management team or personnel in the communities. So that is what we're seeing. Many people are dying from domestic violence.
Who is responsible? Who you say is responsible? Is it start from the community?
It's a big problem. It's a big problem. The schools can try what they try. They can do what they do there. But remember, they are going to leave the school at 2 o'clock or 2:30, and they're heading back out there in the communities.
Dr. Ivy, who is responsible for the conduct and behavior of these school kids, given that the figure that's been floating around where they're trying to kill each other? Is it that the killing is a part of our culture so much that our kids are acting out this way?
Dr. Michael Abrams has a column in the Gleaner. I think it was Monday or Tuesday of this week. And also in my own book, The Crying Child Monument Has Run Out of Room. I have set out all the adverse childhood experiences and the trauma and toxic stress to which our children have been exposed to in this society. The Jamaican society is broken. The homes are broken. Children are great imitators. As Mr. Speed is saying, the children are simply reflecting and imitating the bad behaving adults in the society, including our politicians and other public figures. The children are simply like sponges soaking up what they see around them. Our children are taught to settle disputes by violence, by virtue of the violent punishment that is inflicted on them in their homes. The children see violence in their communities, and they see that is what is how conflicts are settled. Children in the Crossfire was the topic of Professor Maureen's Vaughan 2009 Grace Kennedy lecture, where she pointed out all the things that are happening to children in the society. So basically, we have sown the wind, and we are reaping the whirlwind as a society. The music is laced with violent lyrics. The public figures are behaving badly. The communities are riddled with dysfunctionalities and all of those type of things. Jamaica is largely an adult unfriendly society. So there is no way that it can be a child-friendly society. It is the society that is broken.
But they weren't that violent when we were going to school, and they used to settle it with
you see, we always go back to those nonsense arguments, which I'm a little bit impatient with. In my days this, in my days that. This is what the kids are experiencing now.
Okay, so you're saying deal with just today. At this point, there's
that is the reality of the now. That is the reality of the now. We can't say that when I was a boy.
Could I just ask Dr. Ivy, what different must be done? I hear the explanation, but what can be done to make it go back to where it was good when I was going to school in the 70s and 60s?
We have this argument about the good old days. There were never any good old days in Jamaica.
Yeah, there were
any good old days in Jamaica.
No. When I was going to school, students were not beating up teachers.
100 years from now, we're going to call these days the good old days.
No. This is what I'm saying. The question I'm asking: when I was going to school, any infraction, any fight between a teacher and a student would be an isolated case. And I went to school in the 60s and 70s. That's what it was. We never have that. And teachers are cane out the back foot. Cane, bam.
That's easy to answer. That's easy to answer, though, Ronnie.
What should we do now to keep the violence?
But all right. So you went to something there a while ago, and I want to address that. You wouldn't find a student fighting or beating up a teacher. It would be an isolated case back then. Over the years, though, we find that even the leadership of the Ministry of Education, they have now sought to tell the kids about what are their rights. Right. And they keep preaching their rights, but they are not preaching what are their responsibilities. So the kids only grow with, oh, I have a right to this, and we have freedom of speech, and we have freedom to this, but there is nothing there that is going to grab their attention in terms of teaching them about their responsibilities. You see, in Japan, in Japan and in some of those countries, and Singapore, those countries we talk about, and we love to bring them up every time we're talking about how far they are and so on. But we're not talking about what they teach their kids, especially at a young age, as initiation into school, into the school system. They teach them about loyalty to country and these and all sorts of things before they start to teach them any math or English or anything like that, you know. So up to second grade and so on, they don't teach them maths and English and spend a lot of time doing that, you know. They teach them mainly how to deal with conflicts and how to, go ahead.
You're saying that the kind of gang warfare and this thing about JC against Calabar been going on for a long time. Gone to a lull when JC was, improved. But these kind of inter-school warfare that just break out again last week is not new to us. We have it in Montego Bay, it's all over the place. You're saying that we could teach students the curriculum in the schools is what we could use to get them out of that kind of thing.
It is one way, but remember, when they go back from school, there is another influence that they are going to be having on them. But it could go that route. We could go that route but that's more long term as well. We could go that route of putting a social and emotional intelligence program within the curriculum from they are very young. So a branch of that now, after they come through primary school, it could start from infancy, and the program could run straight through. And in fact, you would have to do that social and emotional intelligence program right through the system at all levels, even with the teachers, the people who are supposed to be in charge of these kids on a regular basis during the days. Those people would have to be put through that kind of program too, because the only way they can learn it is if they have people who can adequately teach them how to deal with conflicts.
So the adults now who are in gangs and walking around and killing people is lectures they need and teaching and so on. They need
No. I'm not saying. Listen, there is no problem that you can fix with one solution. It has to be multifaceted. I am just saying that we have to start somewhere, and one of the ways that we could use, one of the medium we could use, is that curriculum in the school system.
All right, so I went to school in the 60s and 70s, and these are times when respect for teachers, the school environment was very, very, what should I say now, friendly, hospitable. You know, you don't have kids. You have 1 and 2 little fight between kids and so on. But to take out a knife and stab a child, that's almost non-existent. Now we just do it almost routinely. Now 30 years after, 40 years after, well, you know, what we have now is that violence in school is now almost routine. Violence in school is now routine. I have a different take. I have a different take from you guys.
What is your take?
My take is simple. You see the countries that talk about like Japan,
Singapore.
what Japan and Singapore knows, and every child in Japan and Singapore grow up to know, is a word called accountability. Accountability. That's what we don't. In other words, you can commit. There's no there, and you almost touch on it.
How far is accountability from responsibility?
No, there are two things. There are two different things.
Yes, but how far?
Very far. Very far.
All right. Let me hear you.
So, what accountability is saying is that if you commit a crime or there's an infraction on your part, you're going to be held accountable, which means that you have to face the consequence. That's what accountability says. These children, there are no consequence for what they do. None.
But I said that.
No, I'm saying
that you teach them about their rights.
No. What I'm saying is, in my time when I was going to school, there are consequences for my bad behavior. Real consequences. I mean, I could get a strap, I could get the cane, I could be suspended, I could be expelled, all kinds of unpleasant consequences. So my fear of those consequences kind of put a kind of deterrent there. I don't bother to do it.
But these kids will call the police on you.
One more. I'm just saying, as it stands now, all I'm hearing, everybody, you must talk to the children. You need to talk them. When a man commits a crime now, a big man, we don't talk to them enough. We just send them to jail because we can't talk them out of them crime. But we want to talk little children out of their bad behavior. Talking don't change anybody's behavior.
It's consequence.
You have to have a painful set of consequences. Now, I grew up with this strap. I'm not saying it must be the strap. I'm not saying it must be the cane. What I'm actually saying, don't tell me that there must be no strap or no cane. I'm not hear what it must be. Because there must be a painful consequence for your bad behavior. That's what I want. And I'm hearing about disposal and all of the theory about.
So they remove the cane. And what you're saying, they remove the cane. What replaces the cane?
So I am not advocating for no cane. All I'm saying, I'm rubbishing the argument about you bring violence to children. I grew up in that violence. And I'm not a violent person.
Let me answer that straight.
I don't hear the foolishness about people being violent to children. That's what happened to you when you come to jail as an adult and you commit a crime and they send you go to Spanish Town. That is violence. You're sending go to prison. If you go live in a place where you meet for 4 people and a 10 and 1 night, that is violent and inhumane. And a lot of children are growing up now, and the first time that they have to face the consequence of their action is when them get fired at work, or police hold them and send them to jail to stab somebody or to kill somebody. That's the first time.
Ronnie, do we really have correctional facilities in Jamaica? Emphasis on correctional.
You mean in terms of
emphasis on correctional. So so consequences, yes, and you may send them to prison or send them to jail or whatever. When they go there and then they return better or they return worse.
I would err on the side of come out worse because we don't have the kind of rehabilitation arrangement and opportunity.
So that's why you have to try another approach.
No, all I'm saying is, listen. If a human being are wired to avoid pain, and they are wired to chase pleasure. That's how human beings were. I've heard Dr. Ivy talking about Thomas Hobbes before. You know, when, you know, he was the one who theorized how government came about. And all of that, what government came about to say, you can't walk around and go kill Owen, you know, because if you kill Owen, me as a government, I'll kill you back. And that is what stopped people from walking around and killing people.
I agree with consequences, you know.
I'm saying that is what it was. That's what government does come in and impose. And then you have some society, you know, that there's a time in Britain, for example, Britain, who don't murder, they don't hang people now. There's a time in Britain who they don't beat them at school anymore. In Britain, if you stole a sheep, you'll be hung. They're coming from all of that. That's a society coming down and socialize them into those no, don't go thief nobody's sheep. And they understand that if you're going to the Middle East and you steal anything from anybody, you see a man walk down the road with one hand and knows a thief and thief something. If him have two hands chop off, he knows that two things in thief.
This minister, injustice.
They don't steal anybody things over there.
Jamaicans for justice, not will never.
Let me ask Sir Speed this question. Sir Speed, were you in the classroom when the cane was there?
I mean, as a student?
As a teacher.
No man. By the time you're a young boy, man, by the time you start.
No,
the student
they couldn't. It was outlawed. It was outlawed.
All right. The specific question that I want to ask you, as a man that's been in the classroom for a great period of your life, and you were raised on the cane, what's your position on the cane being in the classroom?
Truth be told is that I wasn't raised on the cane, you know. No teacher could beat me, you know.
All right. But the cane was there. The cane was there.
The first thing I used to do is catch that cane, you know. I look at it, you know, and once him come down, I catch that, you know, and him cannot get it from me until I get to leave that classroom. But the truth is that some of these people, hold on. Let's focus this thing a little.
No. You see the reaction that the cane has brought out in the gentleman.
Yeah, they couldn't beat me. But I'm telling you, you see that caning thing. Many of the teachers there during my time.
Turn up in butt and just take it meekly.
Yeah, Ronnie. Anyway,
no. I was not caned because I was so afraid of it.
Let me tell you this though.
Dr. Ivy, what is happening, you know? You guys have a feeling that children go to school with a cane, and every day they go to school, people is a beat them. That's not how it works.
Yeah, but the truth,
it's a fear for the cane that works.
What about the teachers who used to stand up on decks and keep
what
about those who smoke in the water? What about those who some of these teachers back in the day, they were sadistic bastards.
Yes, right. So
there is a difference to Dr. Ivy with abuse and discipline.
Of course.
Yeah. But it looked though, it appeared to me that it was more abuse in those times more than discipline.
There you go.
And that's a challenge that people face because it was like done out of partiality too. The well-to-do, the kids who come from well-to-do homes those times, they got less of that kind of punishment.
They got none. They got none. They could not.
Or they got none. They got none. You're right. So hold on. So wait. Hold on, Ronnie. So Ronnie, if you allow that to just go on in the system, then you will have to look now at who is going to administer it.
No. So we're going past that. We're going past that.
Okay.
What we have on the table now, is that discipline in a child must be an integral part of their development. They can't grow up without discipline. In the past, they used to use the strap and the cane, and they bring it. There was a strong advocate against it. It stopped. The question is, are we now prepared to have children growing up in the absence of disciplining them.
No, Ronnie, but we need.
What are those discipline measures?
No, Ronnie, but we need to have more. We need to have.
Advocate for that. That
We-
children must not be disciplined. What I've
No,
heard
I'm just
people say,
asking, what are those measures?
How are they
What-
disciplined?
How are they disciplined? You want to hear me?
Yeah. But before we get to discipline, we have to talk about preventive measures.
No, man.
About preventive measures. People are gonna have infractions.
All right,
Yes,
all right.
but
People are gonna have
yes,
infractions.
But
You
hold on.
can't talk people. Oh, come on, man. You're gonna have infractions. The
That-
question is, how do you go about disciplining children now?
Yeah,
It's
I
just
want
like
to ask.
crime,
I
you know.
want to ask Dr. Ivy that question. Dr. Ivy.
no, it's just like the crime situation. You notice all the time we talk about crime fighting. There is no equivalent emphasis or greater emphasis on prevention.
prevention. That's where you have to go.
So you see, when Mr. Speed say that before you get to discipline, you have to get to the matter of teaching children self-control, teaching the delayed gratification, the proper socialization of children. Look here, I have never raised my hand at my child. Never. Because
Neither have I. Neither have
because
I.
of the environment in which you create.
What?
So
Neither have I, but
issue
just-
of proper socialization is the key.
No, but we
All
want to.
right, Dr. Ivy, let me ask you. Define discipline to a child, please, to me.
No. He's saying that there will be no need to discipline because
No.
you can prevent-
He's not saying
No.
that, Ronnie. He's not saying that. He's not saying that.
All
Talk
right.
about emphasis.
No. This
Emphasis.
is what Dr. Ivy is saying.
Ivy.
That
Emphasis.
he's saying that
Emphasis.
you can create an environment where disciplining the child is not necessary because you'd have
No.
prevented it.
No, that's not what I get from it.
Emphasis.
Okay, so let it-
That's,
Dr.
No.
Ivy has said earlier, and I have no position in this, but Dr. Ivy had said earlier that he believed in discipline, right?
yes.
You said that. I am asking you, describe discipline. What discipline look like for a child in your eye?
Discipline is basically showing the correction. It's correcting
Point
maladaptive
out.
behavior. You're talking
Point
about
out.
methodology, or you're talking about the definition. Discipline is correction.
No, that is not discipline. With all due respect, that's not
It's
discipline.
punishment. Discipline is punishment.
Is about punishment.
But
That's
it's
what it's about,
correction.
punishment.
It's
Discipline
correction.
is saying,
You're
discipline
talking
is
about the
saying
means.
you're gonna be held
You
accountable.
are talking about the means. I'm saying discipline is correction to give rise to desired behavior.
No, the corrective measures that are imposed.
Yes.
So if a child do something wrong, especially if they are repeat offenders, it's worse because you're not gonna jump and give the worst.
It's like in the workplace. It's like in the workplace where you're doing call it, say you're disciplining employees.
Yeah.
But you know that there's a gradation. There's a gradation. You don't start with firing. You start with a warning. You start with a verbal warning, a written warning, so on, 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 so. So it's a gradation to match the infraction.
That's not how it works.
What do you mean that's not how it works?
In the workplace, there are some infractions that merit that approach, but there are some infractions as a strict.
I want to ask this question.
Out of the place.
Well, yes.
It depends on the infraction.
Yes.
What the bottom line is, what you're doing is acting against a known physiological and psychological fact about human beings. That human beings act to avoid pain. And so the threat of pain is what causes people to behave a particular way.
You know, you see, your philosophy is like the Christian one we talk about, you go and burn up in a hell, so behave yourself. That is the same argument you're putting forward. Fear of hell, so that people.
No, you're right, Dr. Ivy. You're right. But that don't take away.
And it works. And it works.
It worked because look
It
what
works.
you're right. It
It worked
worked.
for you?
It worked
For those people. The thing
No,
is
the fear of burning up in hell.
whatever the
Does it work for you?
threat is, Whatever the threat
I'm
is, it has
asking
to be
you, Ronnie
credible.
Sutherland, if the fear of burning up in hell works for you.
I'm saying it is not a credible threat to me.
Okay.
So
that
whatever
is-
the threat that you are putting to the person to get them to behave a particular way, that threat has to be credible. In other words, if you're a father and you tell your child, say, anyhow you touch that, we're going to lick you.
So when
And
God
touch-
tell you, say, anyhow you do so and so, you're going to burn in hell, you don't,
If
you
what?
ignore it.
If what?
When God say that if you covet your neighbor's wife, you're going to burn in
That's
hell.
your business. I am saying,
But Ronnie and Dennis.
You can't, Dr. Ivy, you know, it's the fear of God why the church benefits so much.
Yes.
Would you agree with me?
So why is it that person?
No, Dr. Ivy. I'm asking you if you agree with me that is the fear of God, Christ, or whatever you want to call it, and why the church profits so much. Would you agree with me?
No, it's because
Wouldn't it be?
No, I'm answering it's because they have a lot of weak-minded people about the place.
No, we're not get there, sir. I am asking you.
I'm telling
Did you say
you
yes
what,
or
man,
no?
It's not the fear alone. It's not the fear
giving you my
alone, Dennis.
answer.
Is some people tell you it's the love of God.
But to your point, though, you started, Owen, you started.
Yeah, prevention is better than cure. You ever hear that argument? Prevention is better than cure.
You have started off with a great point about the role that the ministry has played in getting the situation where it is, where this violence among students. And the one thing that you left out, because you said greatly that the ministry, you can't do nothing to the child, you can't do this. I say, a principal just expel a child the other day, and for 3 months the child didn't have any school to go, and them are planning to fire him now. You can't expel, you can't suspend, you can't. I get that. But so you know that one thing that is missing from these children are going around and fighting and killing them one another. They have no fear for anything because they're not afraid for nobody can talk to them. And that is all we are advocating. We need to sit them down and talk to them.
No. You're getting it wrong, Ronnie. And that's what I don't want you to do. I keep saying to you people, and I keep saying to Jamaica, I keep saying to the world, there is no problem that has a one-shot solution. You have a multi-faceted approach. I am saying to you that if you can prevent more of these infringements, if you can employ strategies that will help you to prevent more, then you don't need to discipline. Listen me out now. Hold on now. If you can prevent more of the thing from happening, there is less need for discipline.
But you must see the impracticality of that argument. That's an impractical.
No, it's not. It's listen. So Ronnie, you don't feel that you can hold on now. You have a class of 40 kids.
Yes.
You don't feel, Ronnie, that if you have 15 kids in that class who are maladaptive in terms of how they behave, maladaptive behaviors day in, day out, you don't feel that you could pull that class into a program and in the end, 5 of them start to behave better?
I have no problem with that. I agree.
But and so if you have fewer, so if you have 5 fewer problematic kids, you have 5 fewer kids to discipline.
Right.
That's the point I'm making.
For the 5 that were not influenced by it, because that is what happened at school. I taught so I know what's going on in the schools. So I'm saying, when children will behave a particular way when they're within the orbit of the influence of the authority, that's what happened. So if the teacher is around or you're in the class, you behave a certain way, even though some of them are not doing that. They will behave a particular way within the orbit of the influence. However, when them walk and go out on the ball field, in the schoolyard, or reach out a road, they are outside the influence of the authority, and all hell broke loose out there.
But Ronnie, I am supporting. But Ronnie, you're getting me wrong. You know, I am supporting the whole thing of disciplining them if they infringe and applying consequences. I am with that. You know, all I am saying is that.
I've never heard anybody. The only person who I hear who do not agree with disciplining them is Dr. Ivy. Dr. Ivy said discipline means that you talk to them and so on and so forth, that's not disciplining. Disciplining is imposing sanction.
You
Like
apply.
what? Like what?
You
Like
apply.
what? Like what?
Dr. Ivy,
When
Like
Talk
what?
like
No,
what?
let him answer.
I
Like
went
what?
to school, what
Like
worked
what?
for me, let me tell you what worked for me. When I was in grade 4, I could not spell. Could not spell failed myself. And I'm going to do common entrance in 2 years' time. I couldn't spell. And we had a grade 4 teacher who decided that if you can't spell, you can't write. And if you can't write, you're going to fail the composition part of no matter how much maths you can do. And what she started to do to get people who couldn't spell like myself, she said, every Thursday we are going to get 20 words to spell. And we had our books. She tell you where book them, the reading books, any word that we're going to spell coming out of the reading book, or you used to have a book called I don't remember, it's English something. But whatever it is, the books that the words are coming out, we have them. So it was encouraging us to do 2 things. Learn to spell, but reading was what was exposing us to the words. Here the sanction that she imposed. She have a little strap. A little grade 4, so be about 9-year-old or so at the time. And she said, if you get 16 out of 20, that means you get 80%. You go free. But everyone that you get less than 16, you get a strap in your hand feet. So if you get 15 out of 20, you get 1 lick. If you get 14 out of 20, you get 2 licks. And I was so terrified. The first time I go up for it, I got 6 licks because a 10 out of 20 me get. So I get 6 licks. And I decided I'm not getting any more. And that is how I learned to spell.
And your point is?
And in 2 years' time, I passed my comprehension of Ghana Cornwall College.
The point is,
no, let him tell me.
End result of
You think?
I'm saying I got 1 set up licks, 6. And I was so fearful of getting any more, me go and do my work. Because what are the strategy that teacher used to encourage you to spell? What happened? Did that teacher use any other type of strategy to encourage you? I'm saying that is what taught me how to spell. No, but I'm asking you. I'm asking you if there was any other strategy employed to help you to spell. No. That is the one that you to want to spell it. No. Okay, so the whole idea, this thing about pain and pleasure is not a one-sided thing, because people also pursue pleasure. So it means that you could incentivize. Probably if they had said to me, every word that I get right, I'm gonna get 10 cents. Yes. That's another side of the coin. You can incentivize people to do what you want them to do, or you can penalize them in a way that will discourage them from doing what they will be penalized for. That's how life is. You can't just get up and just take away the strap. And I'm not advocating for no strap. I don't use strap on my children, but I'm just saying.
Well, you cite it as the example.
Give us work for me, and it worked for millions of us.
Give us, Dennis, you can't allow Ronnie to get away with this. Let Ronnie tell us some specific examples of the punishment that you would want to see meted out.
Yeah, but I am asking Dr. Ivy first, what discipline looks like to him. How do I discipline a child that I taught so well, but him going to school and follow some bad company few times and did something that is wrong? How should I deal with that?
You take away something that the child likes. That's one way.
Okay. No, I want Dr. Ivy to answer that.
Oh, it's Dr. Ivy you're asking. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Dr. Ivy, how do
those are basic things.
Things. Okay, so you take away from something that the child like, right? Right?
You ground the child.
No, how
taking away free time.
How the man? Okay, no problem. How the man down in one corner that him people don't have nothing already, nothing. How him why him take away?
Yeah.
Because
Good
this cannot be a standard approach to discipline.
Because that is how I disciplined my children when they were small.
All right, let me ask. All right, let me see.
My children.
So you didn't have something to give the child. I am saying to you.
Go on weekends. People not have.
Dennis. There is always something to give a child. You hear me tell you that? There is always, no matter how you're poor, there is always something that the child likes. And it's dear for the child. No matter how you're poor.
Let me do a thought experiment.
You have to be situational about it. One of the problems, is that sometimes we for example, Dr. Ivy is a strong upper middle class man now. Same thing and talk like middle class. Yeah, what happened now? I'm also a middle class person, so I'm not a child from it. So when my child, he used to love going and having sleepover with his friends. And the friend them can come over and sleep over. That happened. You said, let me tell you something. Because of this, no sleepover for the next 2 months or whatever. And it's painful.
That's painful. That's
punishment. Was a little boy. That's punishment. That's punishment. Always have, the Nintendos of this world and, pocket, whatever it is, all of those expensive little gadgets, they always have it. So guess what? So I was able to take that away and say, when I see this for another week or two, that's painful.
Yes.
I don't have to use any strap because that works.
Yes.
They love to go to the mall. They'll spend time with their friends on a Saturday.
Yes.
Poor people don't do none of those things.
When you talk about you, what about me? I am asking about me.
No.
What can I take away?
So, gentlemen, you have said, I'm asking you this question. Since we can give examples of how the middle class can do it, let me just do a thought experiment. Let me say that at the moment, I don't have any examples for the inner city man. What do you think? No. What do you think then should be what the inner city man should do, since you don't have those other options? What do you think?
And I go back to the thing. I grew up on the strap. I grew up on the strap, and I'm here lauding it. It works for me.
So go to the next level then, Ronnie. So Ronnie, go to the next stage then, Ronnie. Say the next thing then to accompany that then. You grew up on the strap, Ronnie. So what then?
The fear of the strap.
I'm saying to you.
All right, so then what?
And I see nothing wrong with those who do not.
No, don't say it that way. You sound like the Prime Minister. You sound like the people who are saying, boy, they don't want to say they don't lose, so they say we didn't manage to win. Come with me now, Ronnie, and tell me what would you? Because you mentioned the strap, and you don't have any problem with it. So you're suggesting what then?
That they should not remove that option from the toolbox.
I used to use, as a teacher, I used to use the strap, but after a time I stopped. When I went to prep school to teach, I stopped. I couldn't use a strap.
And that
taught me a lesson. That taught me a lesson that you could teach kids and get good results out of them without using the strap.
You hear what Ronnie said though?
But look here.
In a prep school, but once a middle class picnic beat the daylights out of them.
No. I am saying it's true.
Listen what I'm saying. This one said, don't talk for me. This is what I'm saying.
But that's different.
The theory I'm putting on the ground is not it's not a concoction of mine. There is what you call the pain-pleasure principle.
But you move past that. You move past that and you went to a class.
But you can't move past that because
no. You have to move past that theory and you went to the class.
I'm not moving past it. I am wedded to it. I'm wedded to it and I'm moving past it.
Listen.
The problem that we have now with children, the problem we have with children now,
is that we need to beat the lower class children.
No, Dr. Ivan. Nobody never said that. But in reality,
this is what I'm saying. Don't do that. I can tell you.
To the lower class.
Listen what I'm saying. Don't tell any lie on me. This is what I'm saying. My thing is clear. I'm saying I believe in the infliction of pain as a consequence for bad behavior. Pain.
So
if the lower class person you're talking about, if they have the kind of pleasure that they can withdraw, by all means. The problem, however, is that as you get poorer and poorer in the society, they have less and less of those amenities. That's a fact. I don't want to make it into a upper class, lower class. So that lower class person who you're talking about, you must not take away that option from them.
They all have, regardless of their settings, social settings.
So name the thing where you take away from them.
Just a second. Regardless of their social settings, there will always be.
No, just tell me. I don't want you. I'm tired of the theory, Dr. Ivan. I want to hear what are those things. Name some of them.
Just a second, but you allow me to talk. There will always be things that kids like or don't like.
I'm saying name them. We can't talk in generalities all night.
Regardless of their social settings, they will always
like
be
what?
things that
like what?
Like or don't
like what?
Wait, Ronnie. Let's hear.
The theory don't make no sense. I want to hear because these are practical.
I'm gonna say something.
Children going around and killing one another.
I'm gonna say something though. I'm gonna say something that might be.
The boy who tortured the girl up at UWI's with class income from.
Which one?
Let me say something that might not sound so good. Dr. Ivy, there was a question that was posed to you, doing if you read. Dr. Ivy, let me ask you this though, Mr. Speed. Being in the classroom and you were teaching downtown.
Your question being, will the panelists give us some ideas of discipline when you do not have anything to take from the children?
Yeah, that does. If you look down the bottom, that was specifically to Dr. Ivy.
There are always.
No, I'm asking you. I'm Dr. Ivy. That is.
Allow me to speak, sir.
But just name them.
I'm leading in, and I'm saying that they are always
God Almighty,
that the parent can deny a child of. The parent will know by their interaction with their child what they like, what they don't like. So the question of denial can be applied based on what they know.
Like
so,
what?
for example,
let's give some example. Yeah,
I'll give some examples.
Give you one example.
Yeah.
So, for example, a child that lives in the not middle class, and the child may like to go with his father to the beach or the whatever, and he said that, look, you know, you go to the walk beach because they might live nearby or whatever. Say, look, you're not going to go there because you misbehaved in school or you did not do your homework or your whatever and so forth. They're always.
You have no idea. You have no idea about the circumstance that people are upon path.
Really, no.
So, for example, come out to the question.
So, for example, my father. My father. Just don't let me. Are you going to allow me to talk? My father was a man of modest means. And my father used to buy icicles and fudge for us on Sunday afternoons or so on and so forth. Suppose I had misbehaved that week. And my father said that, look, you're not going to get that fudge this week. Simple, something like that. Because you misbehaved. So when you're coming here with this shouting at me, this is ridiculous. Because whatever your setting is,
you don't know, you're talking ignorant of the circumstances of poor people.
What
you're
do you
talking
mean?
like you don't know the circumstances.
My father was a poor man, and when he got his fortnight pay, he would buy.
Were you beaten with the cane or the strap?
Me?
Yeah.
You know what? I don't even want to go there. because I may behave on this forum in a manner that I don't want to. I don't
You
want
know
to.
what? All right. We want that. That's our every topic. So we want to move on because we have been here for an extended period of time. We've gone over 2 hours and 10 minutes.
So Ronnie says strap them. Ronnie says strap them, beat them.
Yes.
I am saying,
Yes.
this is what I'm
That's
saying.
what he
I'm
said.
saying you must find ways
That is the same thing I said. You know, that's the same thing I said.
consequences for bad behavior.
But that's the same thing I
And
said.
talking to is not it.
Talking to is not one of them. Talking to them is not one of them.
That is not consequent.
No, I'm not.
Consequence.
Let us move
It's a one
I used to hide from school.
It's a one pony trick.
The things
Take
when
when
I
the
was
Nintendo,
was
you
in
go
my
to
fun,
sleep over
my
from the
grandmother
class
put up on my
and
boat,
beat the
say,
hell out
"Right,
of
you know,
you.
I think what we need to do is have a podcast and that whether or not the kids should go back to the classroom, even though I know Ronnie is not implying.
I'm not advocating that. What I'm saying,
No, I know.
We're going to take the cane back to the classroom.
Minister of Education,
let us
Minister of
all don't
Education
take
should come
Let
out.
us take
So Ronnie,
let us take also the cat and nine. Not just
So
the
Ronnie.
cane, take the cat and nine as well.
So Ronnie, what you're suggesting then as your thing for punishment then? What are you specific examples then?
What he's saying is that it is unique per circumstance. The man don't get away father.
But it's the same thing Dr. Ivy was saying too.
So,
It's unique to the circumstance. It could be. Hold on. It could be that the father or the mother used to sleep on a bed with the child. The child was comfortable sleeping with the mother every time. And one time come and him do something wrong and the mother decide, you know what? Knock it over there, so you know. You're not sleep beside me tonight because you behave badly. You know, if you be rich to do anything.
I have no problem with that. I have zero problem with that.
Right. So there are other, but Dr. Ivy just gave one. Yeah, I'm just saying Dr. Ivy just gave one example, but there could be other things.
It is contextual. Yeah. It is contextual.
All I'm saying, Dr. Ivy is coming from preventative measures and all I'm saying, Owen, all I'm saying, whatever you know that is going to be a painful consequence, it must be available to you with your child. That's what I'm saying. Because children nowadays want you running up and down and killing them one another.
You also acknowledge earlier that the carrot would work. You also acknowledge earlier that the carrot would work.
Let me just finish. Yeah. The problem that we have with children nowadays, because the ministry have taken away all authority from the schools, and the government has also taken it away from the parents at home because they have also clamped down on corporal punishment.
Somewhat understandably though, Ronnie, because some people, when they are upset, they can't administer that, you know, because they will hurt them. Give them one.
That happened to Owen. What we're doing, and they're going like in Jamaica. We see Britain and America and Sweden and France and so on, they give up on corporal punishment a few years ago. And all of a sudden, we have not been through the cycle that they have been through. But we start to want to behave like them. They came through hundreds of years of disciplining the children, and the children grow up in the society in a particular way because they're a regime of discipline. We have not had that regime of discipline.
You
want to start to behave just like them without the benefit of their years of discipline in them.
The last point I'm going to make on this topic tonight is this.
Yeah,
it is remarkable how we focus on disciplining children, but we don't focus on the adults being setting the example. We don't put that equivalent focus on them, but we want to beat down the children, and it is the adults who they are emulating.
Because Ronnie, let me finish.
Can we lay this down to rest?
A mother and a father were both sent to prison for almost 15 to 20 years because their child and their son went and killed some people in school.
Yeah.
And the mother and father were sent to prison. So I'm also agreeing that parents, but children must also grow under a regime of discipline. That they know if they do this, this will happen to them.
Right.
And now the guys who are walking around and killing one of them, fighting on the road, the children that we have of today, they are afraid of nothing.
All right.
And that's what must change.
We have to lay this
anything.
We have to lay this
I don't care.
We have to lay this interest. I think we have to have a whole show on this because I mean, everybody is very passionate about it, and we will never
get the experts. Get the experts. Get Professor Sam Vaughns. Get experts.
Don't want to hear them. You don't want to hear them.
Get the experts.
Let me tell you something. You don't want to hear them.
Well, you see, they know.
All right. Let us move to the final topic for the night because we had already put it on the thumbnail, so we'll move to the final topic of the night. See, the very colorful DPP Paula Llewellyn is no more. What in your opinion really happened to the case? To cause her removal? What happened? What really happened that caused her removal? We want to get into that. Dr. Ivy, I don't know. You're a man that follow the news a lot. What really happened that caused Paula Llewellyn removal?
Well, in a nutshell, she reached the statutory age of retirement, 60, in 2020, and she got an extension of 3 years. And there was an effort to give her a further extension of 2 more years to take her up to 65. And the manner in which it was done, the Constitutional Court ruled to say that it was not consistent with what was prescribed in the Constitution. That's the long and short of it.
Okay. Sir, you want to respond to that question? Are you scared?
That answer is too short because it does not, in a way, set up the thing to reflect what it really is. It is true that in the Constitution, the retirement age for the DPP is 60. And that is what I find ridiculous, that you'd have a constitution that specify a year, whether it's 60 years or 70 years, you have a constitution that's written many, many years ago. You tend not to do those things, So that to me is a bad law. Anyhow, it is in there and it's what it is. Now, in 2017, the government of Jamaica moved to do an increase on the public servants' retirement age, 2017. So they had that enacted, that public servants would now retire at 65. That was a law that was done at that time. That's some years. Then they did the extension for, so remember, that's 2017. So they did the extension for Paula Llewellyn subsequently to increase it from our tenure, beyond our retirement to 63. After that, I think in 2023, which was just last year, the government went in and did one more. In other words, they know that they have already increased the retirement age for the public servant from 60 to 65. But when they look at the Constitution, they realize that the Constitution specifically spoke to Paula Llewellyn as DPP and to the Auditor General. They were in there at 60. So they went in and made those specific amendment in the Constitution that, as of now, the DPP would have 65 and the Auditor General will now be 65. all because they realized that even though they had done, and the reason why the 2017 is important is just to show that there was no intent to single out Paula Llewellyn, with this extension to 65. It was done well ahead of from 2017 for everybody, all the public servants. So when they gave her the 3-year extension, and then they realized that we could put everybody in there, because it never make any sense that all the other public servants go up to 65, but these 2 people who are specified in the Constitution would not have the benefit of working up to 65. So they went in and did another amendment to specifically move the Auditor General from 60 to 65 and move the DPP from 60 to 65 also. When they did that, they believe that since it is now 65, then she can just work up to 65 because now that amendment was made. So that is what they did. There's nothing, under the table or whatever it is. They just, and the Constitutional Court said that nothing was wrong with that amendment in the Constitution to move the DPP to 65 and move the Auditor General to 65. So the Constitution upheld that, so fine. However, even though they said that was fine, they said Paula Llewellyn can't benefit from it. She can't benefit from it because when the amendment was done to the Constitution, she was already in retirement. So it is like it is saying now that she's going to benefit from the amendment retroactively. And so the Constitutional Court is saying, no, even though we agree that as of now, the DPP go up to 65, but it don't apply to this lady because she was already in retirement. Now, on that basis, they struck down, they look at it to say, since it doesn't apply to the amendment that you're making with the move to 65, it means that it amounts to a second extension of our tenure. Because it apply to the Constitution, fitting us up. So what it amounts now is a second extension. And if it is a second extension, it would not have followed the proper channel, because for another extension, you'd have to get the agreement or consultation with the Governor General and with the leader of the opposition. The government did not think that there was any need to have that kind of consultation because they think that she does fit into the 65 thing. When she becomes 65, she's out. The government now is saying what the Constitutional Court has done don't make no sense because it is inconsistent. You can't say they agree that that the thing about moving both of them because they have to be specifically moved in the amendment. No, the Constitutional the government is saying the act, the decision, or the ruling of the court is inconsistent. You can't say it was okay for them to be moved to 65. However, she not qualify for benefit under it. So they are appealing that.
Yes.
Now, it depends on who you talk to. When you talk to people who are sympathetic to the opposition, you get a version that sounds like the government went behind people back and do something. And based on what I say, which is factual, there's no go behind anybody. It's a question of how you interpret how the thing could work. The Constitutional Court don't agree with them how it works.
Question. Was the government cautioned when they came to call back Parliament into session, came one afternoon with the amendment? They were cautioned to slow down. This is not what the Constitution prescribed, and they rammed through the amendment in one afternoon without debate. One afternoon without debate. The point is, the way the government went about it, they pulled down this thing all over themselves by their own action.
What they did, I'm not getting into emotional talk about ram down, short, and come afternoon in 1 hour. That's Parliament. They do it all the time.
But that is exactly the point.
No, what you're saying, what you're talking about, well, listen, boss, What
No.
you're saying there-
You talked for nearly half an hour. When
No, but I'm saying what you're saying doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense in the thing.
What do you mean it don't make any
That's all
sense?
right.
I am saying,
You can't say you disagree, but you
I'm
can't
saying this
just
thing
say it
about
doesn't
talking
make
about
sense.
ram down afternoon
Point
and 1
is,
hour.
That's
The
exactly
constitutional
what
court
they
saw
did.
nothing wrong with it.
That's what they
but
did,
it-
and that's what brought us
The
here.
constitutional
Because
court saw nothing
you
wron
see,
with what
we
you're
have to
talking
look
about.
at the we have to
Hold
look
on,
at
sir.
a pattern, you know.
Give Dr.
We have-
Ivy an
We have to
opportunity.
look at a pattern, you know. This government, for more than one instances, seem not to appreciate that the Constitution is a hard stop. The Constitution is not something that you can treat as an inconvenient. When you inconvenience.
Dr. Ivy,
I'm making a point.
There's a question before us now. That's the point. You're making a point that is
No,
the Constitutional Court. The Constitutional Court, Dr. Ivy. The Constitutional Court said nothing was wrong with how the government went about increasing the age.
Yes, they did, because they said that the procedure.
No, they did not say that.
Yes, they did. I read the judgment.
No, they did not say. I read the judgment also.
They said the procedure requires, in fact, they went as far as say agreement when the Constitution say consultation with the opposition. They said that the procedure.
Oh, you're talking about something else. You're talking about something else.
No,
listen, guys. Listen. Because that sounds like the opposition talking points. And I'm saying to you,
Section 2 that they put in, which the Constitutional Court struck down, said that the effect of it was that it gave the DPP the opportunity to elect to continue when the Constitution says for continuation of an extension, it requires consultation, and they use the word agreement with the leader of the opposition, the Prime Minister. So they struck that out, and they said that the fact that she had a second extension already, she could not elect to.
That's not what it says. That's not what it says. You're missing the public. You're misleading the public.
Is that we have what we have. And if we have what we have, it therefore means that what the government did was not found to be constitutional by the Constitutional Court. That is the bottom line. That would be the bottom line.
I am saying that point you're making there is so. However, this thing about 1 hour and ram down people throat and so on doesn't make any sense, because the Constitutional Court did not come to that agreement or conclusion. The Constitutional Court agreed and upheld the extension of the retirement age, which was done in that 1 hour, but you call ram down short, which was wrong. The Constitutional Court agreed with the government that it was okay.
But it was in the same 1 hour that they put in the other clause that was
No.
Yes, it was.
No.
It was the same time they did it.
It's a different thing. What they did now,
it was the same day they did it.
What they did, they didn't put that is not necessary to go into any constitution. They are now saying, which now is what the court is against.
But that's what the court said, that they have. The court said that they have severed it. They said that they have severed it. They have knocked it off because it is not supposed to be there.
That is not part of any constitution.
So the second extension.
Constitution. The amendment in the Constitution is to move the DPP and the Auditor General from 60 to 65 years.
But they added a second section so that the incumbent could have benefited. And that's what the court knocked out.
But then they need to go in a Constitution, my brother.
No, but that's what they wanted.
For the listeners, for the listeners,
Section 2 to enable the incumbent DPP to benefit, and the Constitutional Court said no, we slice it off. You can't put it there.
So hold on. So Paula,
you're not. I think you're ready, but you don't understand what you're reading. What they brought to court, Paulwell and Bunting, what they brought to court was that effectively, which turned out, because you agree with them, that it turned out that for these two people, not these two people, because the other general is not yet at retirement age, but for her to continue to work until 65, it amounts to a second extension.
But Sir Ron, it can be argued though, considering that she was the extension was under a different law or ruling or a different position. So it can be argued she should have probably stick to the 3-year extension because at the time
she not decided, and the government did it, and the government is saying what the constitutional court did, and I don't know it's going to come down whether the appeal court is going to agree with them or not. But what is important, I am trying to take out of the public's mind this foolishness about it is a ramming down of this constitutional amendment that caused a problem, and that is not what caused the problem, because the constitutional court upheld that actual amendment. There is nothing wrong with that. What they found something wrong with is that, okay, now that it is 65 for the DPP, you're now saying she can just move up to 65 after she has 63 now. And Paul well them, and there's merit to Paul's argument. They're saying, no, you're meaning that she's going to benefit from this amendment retroactively. And the Constitutional Court agreed with that.
And they were told that they should not do it. And they
no matter what they were told. They were told. Opposition tell people not to do things every day.
We're going to have to wrap up real quick because we're almost going to.
They were told not to do the first needs. And
it doesn't matter how to tell the government what not to do every day. And
they were told that they could not routinely use SOEs.
Let us wait. When
it comes to the Constitution, they think they can do anything they feel like.
Dr. Ivy, I want to ask you a question.
And in every occasion, they have lost.
Dr. Ivy, I want to ask you a question, if you allow me. And I must say to Owen, if you want to say something, Owen, just unmute. But when you're done, mute it back. That's all. When you just unmute when you're ready, unmute it back when you're done, because there's a little background noise. How much will this departure affect the fight against crime, in particular? In particular, violent crimes.
Well, I would like to jump in there.
No, you asked me first, man. You can't.
I would like to jump in there quick.
Hold on, man.
So yeah, what I think is gonna happen. This is what bothered me. That's why I'm so
no, Mr. Host. You asked me the question. The gentleman can't just compound after.
Emotions will take you over. Hey, come here.
Afterwards, I mean, you have to elbow me out of the way.
How much will the departure affect the fight against crime?
I'm going to make 3 points.
Especially violent crime.
I don't think it is going to have any material effect on that. Because one, right, and I'm supporting that point in two other ways now. One, nobody is irreplaceable. And secondly, if the DPP had died, God forbid, but if she had died, we would have to find somebody to replace her. And the person who is now acting, Claudette Thompson, she has tremendous accolades. And many of the big cases that came out of the DPP's office, that lady had a hand in them in terms of some of the big young trials and so on and so forth. Very competent. Nobody is irreplaceable, and we must not box ourselves into a corner to say that if this person, Paula Ivy, is not there, the sky going to drop. Not no go so. All indispensable people are in cemeteries.
Okay, so my take on it. None of what Dr. Ivy said, anything is wrong with that. Those are platitudes that you get up and make those statements because there's nothing to say about it. Nobody is irresponsible. That's a fact. However, let's get down to this lady called.
You only have 2 minutes to run because I have to run to the store.
Let's get down to this lady called Paula Llewellyn. That's why I want to go first, because it is important. Because this is one of the big problems that we have in Jamaica. One, we are hostile to excellence. This lady is by the assessment of the legal luminaries, the people who have battled with her over these years, agree that she has been Jamaica's best, and she's the first woman. She has been Jamaica's best DPP. a lady fearless. She is, in terms of her character, is without question, you know, that the kind of thing that criminals, she does have that grit about her that Jamaica needed. And that is the reason why the extension for we can't afford to lose this lady right now in the middle of our newly enacted anti-gang legislation. Criminals, it was coming like when Giuliani was up in
the
New York.
anti-gang legislation has been from Ellington was commissioner.
So here's this lady bringing down several gangs. She bring down one in Maypen, she bring down one in a Spanish town, and she just going on and they work for one. You know, people. So that level of excellence, the country will going to suffer from the loss of it. And what I find rather remarkable is, notwithstanding the lady's contribution and all of this, that the opposition would have opposed the original extension for 3 years. And that is why it become a political argument in Jamaica. Because the opposition, with all of these ladies, I've never heard a single person, a lawyer, anybody say that she's anything other than excellent. But when they extended the thing up, went to the opposition for the extension in the first.
What cartel lawyers?
Let me finish, my boss. Let me finish.
No. You're saying that you haven't heard anybody saying that the cartel lawyers are singing their praises.
The opposition objected to the original extension. So the second one would have been a must. And people are asking, why would you oppose? And because the opposition was opposed to the original objection, people are asking why, with such outstanding performance, would the opposition object to something like that? To give a 3 years. And it's coming in.
That is debatable though, Ronnie, because you have a whole lot of people who are just happy that she's leaving.
I want to PNP people.
I don't know that. I have done a canvas to know that.
I've not seen a single legal luminary. Not one.
Ronnie, let me ask you one question. In the youth recent just a second, please. In the Privy Council ruling in relation to the vibes cartel matter, didn't she come under severe criticism to say that she agreed with the judge to carry on with the case, even though the jury was tainted?
That's what I hear. That's what I hear PNP people saying.
No, Ronnie, man.
Let me answer. I'm saying that's what I hear. That is foolishness.
That's not true.
Because it's like they want to pin it as she got them convicted. He's the one who got them convicted.
The point I'm trying to make is that you say nobody has criticized her, and I'm giving you an instance.
I'm not saying I'm hearing you criticizing her.
No, I wasn't in the cartel trial.
So in the cartel trial, people are now, because they're hostile to her, want to blame her for the overturn of the ruling by the Privy Council. It is a judge call, it's not her call. The judge asked two of them. The judge asked the defense if they want to proceed. The defense said, no, we don't want to proceed. They asked her if she wanted to proceed. She said, yes, we will proceed. And he went ahead on his own volition and proceeded. He's a judge.
Something, Ronnie, you read the thing and so on. Was the Prime Minister in favor of this last extension?
My information that he was not.
Okay. I just want you to put that out there.
My information that he was not. But that is not the end all.
He's not PNP and he was not. That has to be said.
Owen. He was initially not agreeing with it, but he had to agree for it to go through, so he agreed eventually.
Because he was not in agreement either. The Public Service Commission was not in agreement as well too.
So let's put all the facts out there and let the people be the judge. Court of public opinion is out there. The Prime Minister did not agree with this one.
And the PSC did
that is not true. The Prime Minister agreed.
Initially he wasn't in agreement.
Of course, nobody can change their mind. Everybody can change their mind. Yeah. For job one true.
You can change your mind, but the reasons that you initially didn't agree might still exist.
And the Public Service Commission did not agree. And the next question, Ronnie, have you heard the accolades put to Ms. Thompson as to her acumen?
I don't know anything. I don't know anything of the lady.
All right. So let me ask.
I don't know anything about her. So I have nothing.
But have you read anything about her?
It doesn't matter what I read. It doesn't matter what I read.
You know you ain't gonna know.
So let me tell you what I know.
You have to know her personally.
Let me tell you what I know. Let me tell you what guided me in my position with her. You see, Ken Pantry, who is a former DPP, is a good friend of mine.
Yes.
Way back.
I'm
saying to you that when Ken Pantry was the DPP, everybody knew Paula Llewellyn. Everybody knew her.
No, I'm talking about Claudette Thompson.
I'm saying everybody, and nobody never knew Claudette Thompson. Only the lawyers. The lawyers who work there.
Go ahead.
The lawyers.
You're muted, Owen. You're muted, Owen.
You're muted.
Try unmuted. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm saying, Ronnie and gentlemen, that it would be difficult for you to know a deputy working under Paula Llewellyn because she's so flamboyant. She's going to be out there so much that she's going to really put her out of the picture.
Which is one of the benefits that lady brought to the office. Because finally,
really?
know what was going on.
Brilliant too, and very supportive of her and carrying out the task.
As a matter of fact, she herself, Paula Llewellyn, always spoke about the quality of her team, her deputies.
I am not here. I have no doubt that she has a brilliant team there. I don't know. I'm not mixed up. I don't know. The first time I heard her name is when she was.
That's a fact. Paula always boasts about the quality of her team.
Exactly. But I don't know the lady that can make a comment about her. The first time I heard her name, the person who, the name that I've heard of in there is a guy named Palmer, if my memory serves me right.
Jeremy Taylor, yes?
Jeremy Taylor, not Palmer, Jeremy Taylor.
So, let me ask you this question because we have to wrap up. We have to go guide this story. We have to guide the story because of you. You know, I love you to death. You're my brother. But let me ask you this. How confident are you that Paula Llewellyn will be effectively replaced?
Me?
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't know. You know, I hope so, actually. I hope so. The thing that I value with her, I don't think we have a lot of Jamaicans that are good at it. She was very articulate. She was very confident. She put a lot of us in the public at ease because we understand what was happening. Because she was like that. She was very accessible to I work in the media, so I value her readiness and availability and so on and so forth. And because of her openness, it brings a transparency to the department that is valuable. You don't want a justice set up there. People afraid if you come talk and so on and so on. I don't know. I don't know these people. What I do know of a fact is that oil always rise to the top. You know, and you can't keep down oil. So if these people are there and they're as expressive and so on, you'd probably see them on social media, see them doing seminars, you'll see them, you know, I don't know. I don't see anybody doing it. So I don't know. But one thing I do hope is that somebody as good as she will emerge. I am not here saying that they're there sitting. I don't know. Because I value this lady. She's outstanding. Jamaica, that one is excellence, you know. Jamaica don't have the whole of them get up and drive and go and foreign and go and live like Dennis. And that we do. So when I see one here,
what about your good self?
No, man, me not fall in that rank. No. When what I want, which is really what distresses me, to be honest with you, I'm hoping. All I'm hearing is that she's easy to replace. She's not in. I want to hear people celebrating. I want to hear people celebrating the lady because she has been great.
I want to hear Dr. Ivy answer that question. How confident are you that Paula Llewellyn will be effectively replaced?
From what I have heard and read about Miss Claudette Thompson, she's a competent and accomplished lawyer with the competence to discharge the office effectively. I don't see, look, I have to repeat what I said. Nobody is irreplaceable.
Sir Speed, do you share the sentiment?
Truth is, if Paula was so great, articulate, accessible, all of those things, and she was able to perform her duties so well for so many years, then I could not fathom that she wouldn't have had some kind of succession planning or some of what her good ways and the good attributes would have rubbed off on and passed down to her deputies. So I suspect that she should be able to do a good job if supported, and resources, that's an issue. So always an issue in every sphere of life in Jamaica. So if they provide,
This one thing she said she had left to do that she wanted this extension to actually finalize, and it was to bring the clerk of courts under the rubric of the DPP's office, because the clerk of courts are actually the prosecutors at the parish court level. And she said that was like the last thing she wanted to do in terms of streamlining the operations of the DPP's office by bringing the clerk of court within the realm of the DPP office. So she wasn't there to say within that she had these big cases left to do and whatever and so on and so forth. I read the interview that she had with the cleaner, and that she said that was the last thing she wanted to finalize.
That would be a
I will Claudia choose her as an advisor. I will Claudia choose our replacement choose her as an advisor.
The good thing to Owen point about the nature of that lady, and obviously he expressing some, admiration for the woman and her length of service and so on and so forth. But there's something that I notice about her, and those people are always very good at doing the succession planning. She come across like a school teacher. There's a thing about her where when you hear her talk to the public, it's like she's giving you a lecture. She's trying to teach you something to make you understand something. So I can imagine that's how she probably relate to our deputies. And if that is the case, the likelihood that you'll have a lot of people in there who probably could. So I'm relying on that feature of her, because she come across like a teacher all the time, which is good.
What I think is going to happen, Dennis, is that I think she's probably going to one of those other islands, because some of our retired judges have gone into some of the other islands to be, senior positions in their law fraternity. So it's likely that we might see her in Turks and Caicos, Cayman, the Bahamas, or some other such place. Because many of our retired judges have gone there.
I would not be surprised if we it over our loss. And you know what they're going to do when she go there? They're going to make her work till she's 70.
Like I said recently,
because all of the other islands are increasing at 67 and 68. Them move up the
right. Yeah. It was a bad mix up not to have adjusted her in the first instance. And it's reminding me of how they could allow a parish council, a municipal corporation, to have a tie where you have an even number of divisions, because if you move the thing to 63 odd number, you should have just moved the division at the same time, so you don't have any even number of divisions in a parish. Yeah. So some of these things, lawmakers need to pay attention to detail. And you see, many times people say, "Oh, you are petty." For me, being petty, what they call petty, is paying attention to details.
That is it.
No, that's an excellent point. But I think what they wanted to avoid, they didn't want to make it appear as if the amendment was done specifically for her, and that's why the original one that was done 2017 was for everybody else, and they wanted to fit her into it.
Except that she's a creature of the Constitution. But herein lies the rub. Herein lies the rub. You know what Cliff Hughes said? Cliff Hughes said that this government has been particularly...
If I were you, I would be so... See, we have these things where whenever the law come down on our side, I'm never like that. Because the law is what the law is, and the law is what the law. I don't do things like that because laws need to be examined. My problem is we should have no law that stops somebody like Paula Llewellyn from performing up to 65. That's not my problem. I have a problem with that as a law because she is well within our, mental and physical, strength and faculty and so on and so forth to go to 70. So I hate a law that stop her from going to 65.
I don't want to feel like I'm against Paula Llewellyn. I taught her daughter. Let me just make it interest. I taught her daughter, her only child. I think taught her daughter prepared her for exams.
I didn't even know that she had children. I didn't know she had children.
I know one child.
Where taught her?
Extra class.
You know where you need to know.
But and I talk is someone who I used to talk to very well and so on. Very amiable, would talk to anybody. She would talk to anybody who she saw there when she came there, kind of thing.
Well, that's how she is. That's how she is.
But I think it was a bad.
The great America will allow a president up to 90 years old because that's where we're going.
And look at what go on with the justice in America.
They can afford
and we in Jamaica quibble about 1 year and 2. I'm sick of it. We need to dash your constitution.
America can afford more advisors.
Guys,
what we need to do is this constitutional reform that we have going on. We must make it meaningful and sensible going forward. Since we have this opportunity now.
Dr. We almost at the 3-hour mark, and I'm gonna give you guys. You and Sir Ran has so much to say, so I'm gonna give you an opportunity to close us out with your final thoughts.
Well, it was good being here. We have been very passionate in our respective positions on the various matters, and that's the nature of democracies. They say democracies are noisy because different views have to contend in the marketplace of ideas. And we are all here very passionate and patriotic Jamaicans. We have strong views on different matters, but we are all in this thing in terms of advocating for a better Jamaica. We have different perspectives, but in the end, we have this goal of wanting to see Jamaica better. That's why we spend the time here to share our views and our perspective, because that's the bottom line. That's what we want. A better Jamaica.
Thank you. Sir Speed, I want you could respond to that question and give us your final thought.
No independent candidate is going to win any election anytime soon.
Okay. All right. Give us your final thought, Sir Speed.
My final thought is that I just enjoy the company of these gentlemen, and I love a robust kind of debate. So I enjoy the program, and very insightful, and I appreciate the fact that you invited me here. It was a pleasure.
All right, thank you, sir. So Ran, close us out, please.
Yeah, this, especially the two, I'm very emotional about two of the matters. The one with school. I taught in high school and community colleges for 8 years, and I am distressed at the breakdown of discipline in the society. It bothered me that children are growing up without fear of any consequence, and that is the solution. You have to find a way to make children be fearful of the consequence of their behavior. On the other hand, with Paula Llewellyn, I am very, very disappointed with her leaving. I just believe that we don't have enough talent in Jamaica to send home somebody like a Paula Llewellyn to go and have nothing to do. And that is generally the case for me. Having worked in teaching for many years, it made me very sensitive to what's happening in the world of teaching, where, I see people, able-bodied teachers are being asked to leave the classroom at 60 to go and sit down, and we are shorter teachers. So I have a general issue with it. So when it come up, I get very keyed on it. Jamaica cannot afford for people to be going home at 60-year-old. It don't make no sense to me. And so that is my issue. That I don't find enough people, I think, because the thing has become so tribalize. Everybody just take it and grab it and run away, not realize that we have some bigger fish to fry as it relates to excellence being sidelined, but they must go home and retirement. That is my issue.
Well, after 3 hours of heated debate, respectful debate, I think I can't help but to say I am grateful that I had a platform that can bring out the emotion of these caliber of guys. I'm grateful that you guys are even here with me. So with all said and done, I feel honored. Thank you guys for being a part of this tonight conversation, which it turns out to be a debate. And looking forward to have more further discussion. I think that we should probably dig deeper into this the discipline part of it. The reasons being, I've been supporting schools at a primary school from because I want to see changes. And the truth is, you guys get so heated earlier. I have my own opinion on it, but I think we should further discuss this, bringing back this, not necessarily the whip, but the discipline into schools. And like the Owen speech said, kids know their rights. So I don't know if taking away their rights. And of course, anyhow, thank you all for being a part of tonight's discussion. Take care. Have a good night. 3 hours.
Thank you. Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Okay. Bye.